On share screen. On share screen. Screen 1. Oh, you're gonna have to do this screen. Because this is where your
Yeah. How do we get it over there?
screen, click on screen 2.
Click on this?
Yeah.
Can I just ask anybody who's not a board member if they could please mute themselves?
No, stop sharing it. Share, start video. Start video.
Is somebody sharing their screen that shouldn't be?
Daryl is. I think you
hear
can stop him though, David. Should be able to stop him.
Turn the volume up.
I'm not sure how to do it.
Can y'all hear us?
Who's asking that?
Daryl Cobb.
Yes, we could, but if you can mute yourself until you're ready to go, please. Not quite ready there. And did you figure out how to unshare your screen, Daryl? Because we're still seeing your screen.
And David, if you're, there you go.
Okay. Let's see, where's the participants? If anybody new just joined, we're asking all non-board members to please mute themselves. And we'll let you know when your agenda item comes up. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty at the moment. We're waiting for one other, my coworker to join. He's the one having technical difficulty. But if it doesn't get cleared up in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and start. I'll let you know. Can you all see my screen now with the title page?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, can you make me the host, David?
Yes, and I can hear you too.
Good.
Let me find you. Now, will I be able to still share?
You should be able to.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Do you think we could go ahead and start?
Can you send me a request to see if you can share the screen?
Oh, I am sharing. Can you see my screen?
Oh, okay. Yes, it just popped up.
Okay, good. I think we're ready. Aaron,
Yeah.
Are you ready to start?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.
One thing, Aaron, I'm sorry to interrupt. Usually you're asking people to turn off their phones, but if you could also just let people know that how they want me to advance the slides.
Okay, sure. All right, good evening. My name is Erin Stevens. Welcome to the September 2nd meeting of Charleston's Design Review Board. Just a side note, obviously we're doing it via Zoom today, so please be patient with all of us. We haven't done this in a long time, so Hopefully there won't be too many glitches, but the members of the board here are Ben Whitener, Lucas Boyd, Adriana Carson, Bill Eubanks, Stephanie Tillerson, and Ashley Jackrell may be joining late. I have in my notes. I assume if she joins, someone will let me know because I can't see everybody, so I know to like call her.
Yes, I will.
So thank you. Members of city staff are David Meeks, Brad Thomas, DRB staff, and Patrick Carlson, city clerk. No board members are recused from any of the projects on the agenda. No projects have been deferred. There are 2 people from the public signed up to speak. One, and David, I have a question for you on this.
Yes.
Since we are on Zoom, did people have to sign up ahead of time, or should we be asking for any other people of the public at each?
There's the 2 people that are signed up to speak. I was given instruction by the clerk's office to have them phone in only and
Okay.
watch the YouTube live stream.
Okay.
I don't see them yet,
Okay.
but hopefully we'll see their phone number, which
And-
Brad has. So once their time comes up, Brad will let them in and we'll unmute
Okay.
them.
And are other members of the public permitted to call in and speak or not? Would they
No,
have
we're not
permission?
letting anybody else
Okay.
in that's not on the list.
Okay, that was my question, if I needed to ask that before every agenda item. So, okay, great. The order of the meeting will be as follows: introduction, project context overview by staff, then project presentation by the applicant, 10-minute time limit for each presentation. If you need additional time, please request it before you get started, and we can grant you a little bit of extra time if necessary. All presenters clearly state your name for the record. And during this time, this is when anyone affiliated with the project, architects, landscape architects, developers, should speak during that time. Then we'll open it up to board questions, and then turn it over for those projects that do have public comments, followed by city staff recommendations. After that, the applicant will be allowed to respond or clarify to any public or city staff comments, with a 5-minute time limit. And then we move into board discussion, at which time the applicant is no longer allowed to speak unless they're directly asked a question by a member of the board. Followed by board motion and a second, further discussion and a vote. As David mentioned, please, usually we say turn off all mobile phones and other devices, but please also, for I think board members and other people calling in, please mute yourself if you're not the one speaking, just to avoid clutter, so that we'll be able to hear the person who is speaking, and let David know how you'd like slides advanced. And just a reminder that any comments from the public are to be limited to site design and architecture of the buildings. This board does not have authority over zoning issues such as land use, building density, flooding, or traffic. So with that, we will get started. The first item on our agenda tonight is 1919 Maybank Highway, requesting preliminary approval for the renovation and new addition to an existing building to convert to a market.
Thank you, Aaron. Just a few context slides here showing the location of the project. 1919 Maybank. You can see the red thumbtack is the location. Closer view on Maybank Highway. So it's just this. You can see my cursor, correct? Yep. And then this is the building in question. The left side is existing, going to remain, and the right side is going to be already been approved for demo, and it's going to be a new addition. I'll go ahead and turn it over to the applicant. Brad, if you could see if the first couple are unmuted, or maybe they can unmute themselves as well.
All right, give me 1 second, everyone.
Daryl and Ashley, can you unmute yourselves?
No, David, I made it so that other people,
Okay,
I have to do it for them. So let me just get everyone's name.
sure.
Can you hear us? This is Daryl Cobb and Ashley Strokel.
Thank you.
Is Ashley with you, you said?
Yes,
Yes.
she's right here.
How about Jonathan?
That's who I'm letting in now.
Okay. But you can go ahead and get started and let me know how you'd like me to advance the slides.
You guys ready for us?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I really don't have a lot to say. We haven't changed. The only thing we've done different since we met last was address your comments. The way we got here is we got conceptual approval in March, and then we went to our PM&E and structural, and then found out half the building was terracotta, and there was no way to structurally reinforce it. So we redesigned, we have new exterior walls in the exact location where the others were, where the terracotta walls were, and resubmitted. We had to resubmit a demo plan and conceptual again. We got approval from you guys back in July 7th with a few comments, and we've addressed those comments. So I think we want to kind of kick the ball back to you, unless you have something else to say.
In our written response, it's just showing that we have coordinated with our landscape architect. Everything is coordinated and up to date. And let's see. We've also added more notes to the site plan, and there's some additional detailing on the elevations. Not much of the elevation sheets have changed from previous to current. If you would like to scroll down.
Yeah, really what we've done is clean this building up. If you drive by it, the windows don't align, header heights don't align. We've just kind of cleaned up the facade of what's there, and added some operable shutters and just kind of, made it look nice again. Probably nicer than it's ever looked, in my opinion, anyway. So with that said, I think that's about it for our presentation. Unless you have questions, we're glad to answer anything you've got.
Any board members have questions?
Thanks. Yeah, we couldn't unmute there for a second. So our board members able to unmute now? Okay, great.
Yep. I got no questions.
I had one question, Madam Chair. Just curious, I know you addressed the comment about the different structure where you go from 2x6 wood to concrete block. You've got a control joint, and I take it there's no need for an expansion joint. And the only comment was, it looked like on the black and white elevations, the CAD elevations, that you show a vertical control joint there on the north and south elevations, but then the renderings show it going away. I was just wondering if the intent is to fill that joint with sealant to make it go away, or if you're expressing it like on the elevations, like on the CAD elevations.
Those joints are on the elevations. I just think it's so light that you don't see it.
No, I can see them. I can see them on the black and white. I just didn't see them on the render. So if you go to the rendering, they don't show, or at least they don't look like they show on the.
Yeah, they're on the bottom side. You're gonna have to blow that up in order.
Can you zoom in and see them? I just did.
Yeah, maybe if you window.
Yeah, I don't see them.
Be there, and
I don't see.
I'd also like to say,
okay.
Go ahead. You want me to talk?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. I just couldn't see them.
I don't know if the builder is planning on filling those expansion joints with caulk or not. I have been doing a significant amount of research on this. I know some builders like to do that. If we did, I would hope that it would match in color, but maybe John will speak up. He's the builder that's going to do it. John, do you have an opinion on your?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to maintain the same coloring throughout the facade, to keep the color homogeneous on the outside of the building. you know, I don't think we have no intention of making it another color or anything like that. We like, you know, the uniform color on the outside if that works for everybody.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Where are y'all in the TRC process? Have y'all been to TRC?
We don't have to go to TRC on this.
Okay. So, last time we talked a lot about the building, but we did have some concerns about the site. And right now you're showing parking spaces as 9 by 18.
Yep.
And the city standard is 9 by 18 foot 6 inches. And also you are required to have 2 ADA spaces, but one of those spaces has to be van accessible. And what you're showing won't meet those standards. And also I think we have an opportunity here with the curb cut on Maybank Highway, where you have exit only. That's an incredibly wide curb cut, and we have an opportunity here to make that a more reasonable width. So I think, you know, it's something that y'all should look at doing. But I'm concerned when the parking lot is reworked to meet those standards, how it's going to affect your parking count and the arrangement and circulation and all that. And I was just wondering if why you use the 9 by 18 instead of the 18 foot 6, and why the ADA parking isn't done right.
Well,
When I was researching the ordinances online, I saw a note saying that they could be 18 feet long if you have proper overhang. So if you have the curb stop and you have an additional area in front of that, it would allow for an 18-foot long space.
I don't think that's going to happen at like spaces 16 and 18 and 13 and 19 and 14 and 20 and 13 and 21, where they're butting up against each other. And I know you've got curb stops also showing, but I'm concerned about that. And actually the code says you can go down as low as 17 feet.
What's the problem?
If there's no obstacle for the curb to overhang.
yeah, you requested the curbs, so that's why we put them in.
Mm-hmm.
What about the ADA parking?
So the ADA parking, it actually only requires 1 space.
No, you've got 23 spaces, so that's 2 ADAs.
My apologies, sir. We can
I mean,
get this
27 spaces. You've got 27
accurate.
spaces, so it's 2 ADAs.
Yeah, okay. We can make sure that we get this revised and accurate with them. Absolutely. We'd be more than happy to make sure that this is correct for our accessible individuals.
Bill, did you have any other questions?
That's it.
Okay.
We also have ample additional land if needed to provide any of these issues. We also have space back there where the kennels are that we could add parking if it was absolutely necessary, but I think we're in pretty good shape with Ashley's drawing.
Okay. Would you guys consider making the curb cut on Maybank not quite so wide?
I mean,
Is that going to be a requirement?
Pardon?
Is that going to be a requirement? We were proposing to leave the curb cuts as is.
A requirement of us?
Yes.
I mean, possibly.
I mean,
I just think right now it's an incredibly wide curb cut, and we have an opportunity while you're reworking the site to make it a more reasonable width.
Yeah, I mean, given how busy Maybank Highway is, our intention was to leave it, and that was just because the reason it's split going left and right is there's a power pole right there in that, in that little well, right there. There you go. So there's a power pole right there. So it's not just an expanse. So that's going to, have bollards around it and that sort of thing to protect the pole. And it gives we wanted to have access to Maybank both left and right so that we weren't having people stack up behind each other to go left and right out of the same ingress or egress location. So that's the reasoning of leaving it, because there will be bollards there, or something to protect the pole, and it gives folks the opportunity to go left or right.
Do you agree that the exit only side is exceptionally wide?
It's what's been there for many years, and it
That's
works
not my
well.
question.
No, I don't.
All right, I'm
Hey,
done.
excuse me one second, Brad. Can you unmute, Ben's saying he can't unmute himself. Can you unmute Ben?
Yes, I can. Board members, when I mute you or unmute you initially, just keep it unmuted, because every time that you mute yourself, I have to then come back and unmute you. So just when it's our turn to speak, just keep it unmuted.
Yeah,
You
board
might just want
members,
to. Oh,
board
go ahead.
members can remain unmuted.
You just might want to keep me muted the whole time, then, Brad.
Ben, I'm not opposed to it.
I just had a comment on Bill's question. So I guess the question I would ask is, that was an existing exit only arrangement, right?
It is.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
I have one question. So this project doesn't have to go to TRC, correct? Because you are not making any changes to the site plan?
Correct, not enough land disturbance.
Okay. So if any modification happen to the entrance to Maybank, they have to coordinate that with SCDOT. Will be an encroachment permit to change that. Just want to put it out there, because you can't just take out without going through the proper channels on that. And maybe will be a coordination with SCDOT and see if they have any issues by reducing the exit lane, to make it a little more practical.
That's a really good point, but let's remember right now we're just having direct questions to the applicant, so all of that can go into board discussion.
Gotcha.
As we move forward. Are there any questions for the applicant from the board? Anyone else? Okay, great. We do have someone signed up from the public to speak on this. Katie Zimmerman with, is she on? She's calling in, is that right?
Yeah, Brad's gonna let her in.
Yep.
Okay.
She should be
Hi
unmuted.
there.
Hi, Katie.
Can y'all? Hi, how are you?
Great. We can all hear you. So you have 10 minutes to speak on the topic.
Thank you, and I will try to be brief. I want to. So my name is Katie Zimmerman. I'm executive director of Charleston Moves, and I want to preface my comments by saying everything I'm about to suggest, I fully am aware that not one bit of it is required at all. So I'm just making comments, hoping that the applicant might voluntarily consider some of what I'm suggesting, which I would greatly appreciate, but I also understand, again, it's not required at all. So I wanted to just mention two things that I'm hoping the applicant might consider. One is there's been a lot of planning work that has gone on with both the city and the county involving the community for Maybank Highway in particular. And the end results of that planning effort was the creation of the Maybank Highway zoning overlay, which Charleston County approved. The city of Charleston ultimately did not approve the zoning overlay. It's just sort of sitting there waiting for the city's approval. One of the elements that came out of that planning effort was the proposal of individual property owners doing their portion of a multi-use path along Maybank Highway. Because the county passed the overlay and the city did not, and this is a city parcel, y'all are obviously not required to do a multi-use path, but I'm hoping you might consider, especially given that this is going to be a community market, I'm hoping you might consider a way to widen your sidewalk at least a couple of feet. Again, totally understand, not required of you. But I think that would really help with sort of the overall vision for Maybank Highway and for your patrons.
Thank you. Now we'll go to city staff recommendations. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie. Are you
I'm
finished?
so sorry. It just muted me in the middle of my comment.
I thought you were finished. Go
The
ahead.
other, yeah, I apologize. And this, a multi-use path on your parcel would ultimately connect to what the county is doing along Maybank Highway from Woodland Shores Road to for a few parcels. Then there's a gap, and then obviously y'all have seen the Standard did their portion of a multi-use path. They did that voluntarily as well. The other thing I was hoping you would consider is the other big picture vision that came out of that overlay effort was the intent for Maybank Highway to ultimately become a right in and right out corridor. So I'm hoping you all might re-examine the ingress and egress that Mr. Eubanks was actually looking at a little bit ago, and making that an exit only, since you've got your other driveway that's an entrance only. And that would sort of help once again contribute to the overarching envisioned future for Maybank Highway. So thank you so much for letting me babble on and on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Now we can move to city staff recommendations.
Thank you, Aaron. All of the board and staff comments from the last meeting have been addressed. Staff supports the building renovation and addition that matches closely what was removed. Staff comment number 1, staff recommends detailing how the parking spots will be defined since the lot will be gravel. Number 2, staff recommends configuring the front sidewalk approach into the building, or reconfiguring it. I'm talking about, if you can see my cursor, they have the sidewalk coming to the front door and then a sidewalk leading over to the east side. And I was going to suggest eliminating this portion of the sidewalk and having 2 entrances off the existing sidewalk. And I want to show you some images at the end here. So this, you can kind of see the width of this landscape area from the sidewalk to the building is very small. So if you were to add a new sidewalk where these shrubs are, that's really going to cut down on the landscape area. Here's another view. So I was suggesting, and this is kind of touching on what Bill Eubanks was talking about with this flared entrance. I was suggesting just bringing in a second sidewalk right here for just a short distance and eliminating what they have on the plans with a sidewalk going across here. You can see this lawn area is very small. Not to go against what Katie was suggesting, but I just think widening the sidewalk is really going to eliminate most all the landscape in front of this building. And then also, if you look down Maybank Highway, where she's suggesting a bike path, I just don't know what you would do about all these utility poles and other obstructions that are existing. But that's all I had, and we do recommend a preliminary approval with the conditions noted and final approval by staff.
Thank you, David. We'll give the applicant an opportunity to respond to anything in the public or staff comments. you have any responses. If not, we can move into board discussion.
All right.
I have a question, excuse me, regarding Katie's second comment about the right in, right out. So she was suggesting to get rid of the left turn out of the parking lot. Is that what the suggestion was?
I believe so.
Okay, okay. I understand, that whole concept, but if you were to be forced to go out right, where then do you turn around? Do you have to make a U-turn or pull into a shopping center to go back left? Or is this a situation where you're supposed to go around all right turn blocks to get back on the Maybank Highway?
Brad, are you able to unmute Katie again, if she's still with us? She may have gotten off.
Okay, all right. We could always follow up with the question.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
And we did meet with zoning extensively prior to this, and they were the ones that told us we didn't have to go to TRC. We were, and part of it may have been because we were proposing to not change the envelope of either. We're not growing or shrinking either structure, 1919 or 1915, the one in the back. So we're just working within the existing envelope.
Katie is back on.
I'm sorry. Y'all just unmuted me. You were asking about where people would go if they can't turn left.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they would drive as though they're on any other corridor in Charleston that has a raised median. I think you probably are aware about the raised median that's going in near your parcel on Maybank Highway. So the raised median wouldn't be going in front of you all, but it's going to change traffic patterns substantially on Maybank Highway. It's going to make it safer. So I think anybody who's turning right out of your parcel and needs to head towards Johns Island, they could turn onto Fleming. They could turn onto Standard Way. They could make any sort of turn that they needed to make to get back on the road. But the intent is to not have a highway. The intent is to have a street design that matches the community that's on either side of it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I would think if we propose to alter any of the ingress egress, it would have to go to the Department of Transportation and they would have to approve it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the reasons we, did not change any of the ingress and egress of this property.
Thank you. Now we'll move into board discussion and a motion.
I tend to agree with the applicant. I think this is a pretty dramatic cleanup of the building, in that it will likely look better than it has in a long time. In terms of I'm curious to get the board's thoughts on the site stuff we've been talking about. I'm on Google, and the survey we're looking at, it's kind of misleading a little bit because the actual curb cuts look more or less the same size. And I'm just pretty hesitant to start talking or start suggesting that kind of change to this project from a design review standpoint, because that would obviously change the applicant's process quite a bit. There is quite a bit of, again, the curb cuts appear to be relatively similar in size, but there is quite a bit of just asphalt to the, if we're looking at the page, no, go back to the site plan.
Oh, okay. I was going to show this.
Yeah, I get, well, that looks
Let me
a
go to
little,
site plan. He's asking me to change. Sorry.
just a site plan. Yeah, where that kind of squiggly line is, it's kind of asphalt wasteland a little bit, but in terms of the curb cut question, I would not be inclined to suggest that any changes to that.
What do you mean, Lucas? Changing the curb cut on the main road on Maybank?
Yeah, like making it narrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, staff's suggestion of the pedestrian access to the building, it's a nice thought to connect that route to the back of the building to the sidewalk. However, again, looking at the Google map, that power pole does pinch that left turn out quite a bit. And I'm hesitant to kind of explicitly direct pedestrians to that pinched corner there. Furthermore, I think if there was a secondary connection to the sidewalk from that side pedestrian route, if that extended right to the sidewalk, I would think they would want to be connected as well. So that pathway along the building, maybe it can be more modest. I don't know. That makes sense to stay in my opinion. But I think the main concern would be if you take that, again, just looking at the Google map, if you take that pedestrian pathway along the side of the building and just run it straight out to the sidewalk, you're depositing the people right into the curb cut. And because again, that pinch there, that's happening with the telephone pole. So I don't know where the rest of the board stands on that, but overall, I think it's the site plan stuff, the parking issues. I don't see that being a heavy lift to tweak in terms of the size and the ADA count. But overall, I think it's a well done project, especially the curveball that was thrown at the applicants during
Terracotta
explorations.
No, I agree, Lucas, with the at the curb cut where the left turn lane is, taking that sidewalk out to the other sidewalk. I don't think you'd want to do that. I think you'd want to follow that radius if you were doing anything. I don't have that big of an issue with how they're showing it now.
Me either.
I do think it's fine to leave if an applicant's not, if there's no requirement to have to change, I don't think we should force them to change it. I think it could be a good idea to do the right turn only. But I totally understand the point of leaving it like it is. You're doing a ton to fix the existing building. And I don't know how Bill would feel about this, but I would think the board comment for zoning would be, to ensure you comply with all City of Charleston zoning requirements.
Right.
But yeah, I personally think it's a huge step forward with the existing building.
So what if, just throwing this out for discussion, what if both the left turn and the right turn were on the east side of that power pole? Then you could accommodate David's idea for a sidewalk.
If you take a look at the Google map, again, and this is not a measured point, it's just an estimation. Again, if you take a look at the actual photo of the street, that curb cut, the east curb cut, is not that wide. There's the actual curb cut. The opening of the amount of hardscaping is quite wide, but the actual curb cut is not. It doesn't look like it could accommodate a left turn and a right turn lane.
Okay.
I don't know if you can actually go to Google Map. You're not seeing the boundaries of it there.
Let me pull it up. I'm just looking at the survey. I was trusting the survey.
If you look, it does look, I'm looking at it with relation to like the parking spaces beyond, and it does look decently wide, honestly. You can see like if you look at it from the street, but I don't know. I don't have it measured either, so it's hard to judge.
I guess the point would be that, yeah, I would be hesitant to start requesting that kind of change, because that really does change the scope of the project, really.
It looks to me like the curb cut would be wide enough to accommodate both. I can only see it on street view. I can't see it the aerial's not good enough in the plan view. But if the rest of y'all don't think it's important, I'll concede that point. I just think it's an opportunity to make things better.
I guess it's an opportunity, but I personally don't think it's our position to make the applicant do that opportunity. You know, it's a place where they're fixing an existing condition. They're doing a lot to fix the existing building, and they're doing what's required by the city for zoning. It's just one of those where how far do you go, I would think. But I can certainly understand your position and the applicant's position, Bill.
Yeah,
And the Charleston moves too. I mean, I get it. It's just, you know, how far do you go when you're just renovating the existing, but you're trying to renovate the existing building. You know, with this first pass, maybe that's the second phase that they come back and do and take it to DOT. And anyway, that's my opinion.
right, because I think like to take it to DOT, you know, you have to show a lot more survey than that. You know, they want to see like the distance between driveways, what is across the street, you know, how much room you have to offset the driveways. So, and then land disturbance, and it go and on and on. So it would be easier if this project was going through TRC, then you get the traffic engineer to also help on this. So it's really hard to make decisions based on what we got right now. I think that, you know, that would be something that could be studied in the future. And if they need modification, they have to go through the proper channels to do that.
Agreed. I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair.
Okay.
But hey, Ben, before you make the motion, since they don't have to go through TRC, do we want to see final?
I don't personally think we do. I think they still have to get, they're still going to have to get a permit. So, I mean, they've got to make sure they comply with zoning,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to make the same point, like the parking space and ADA stuff.
That's just the
code stuff that'll be reviewed.
They have to do that. Absolutely. That's not a DRB. You know, we don't need to verify that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion for preliminary approval with staff comments, number 1. And I mean, I guess, Bill, we could say comply with city zoning, but you know, for a board comment, but I'm fine leaving that out. I don't know if, would you like to include that, Bill?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So we have a
And-
motion for preliminary approval with staff comment 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll call roll. Adriana,
Favor.
Bill,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
and Ashley hasn't joined, has she?
She's here.
Oh, Ashley.
I'm here, but I came in midstream, so I'll abstain from this one.
Okay. Well, I'm also in favor, so the motion carries. Thank you. All right. Now moving to the second item on our agenda for tonight. I think there might be a typo. My agenda says 1393. This says 1396. Maybe it's both addresses, but 1393 Miles Drive requesting partial demolition to a portion of an existing church building that has experienced water damage. David, do you have a context for us?
He's muted.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, I had to ask Brad to unmute. I'll stay unmuted now. Just a few context slides to show the location of this project. This is 1393 Miles Drive. You can see the red thumbtack on off of Old Town Road. Miles Drive is an inner drive parallel to Old Town Road. Project's located right across from the future county park that's under construction. Closer view. So it's an existing building that is having considerable water damage, and they want to demo a lot of the walls and a portion of the building. Some of the portions that they're wanting to demo are not over 50 years of age, which the applicant will go over. That doesn't really require DRB approval. This is the view from Old Town Road. And this is the view from Miles Drive. And Charles, if you're available, you can start.
I'm available. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Yeah, so this is a long presentation, so keep your mouse ready.
Yep.
We'll go through it quick.
Do you need more than 10 minutes, Charles?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we can breeze through it, and then if you want any more clarification, we can go
Great.
through it. So David did a good job of kind of contextualizing it. Well, I mean, kind of going counterclockwise here,
Can you
zooming
just
in.
introduce yourself too for the record?
Yeah, sorry. My name is Charles Kane. I'm the principal of Form Void, the architecture firm, working with St. Peter's Church, who is reoccupying this building. And we will see in the presentation that this congregation has a long history going back to the 19th century, though they've been in many locations, though this building over the past couple of years has kind of sat unoccupied, but they're trying to breathe some new life into it. So I'm happy to kind of talk through the history of this project, which I think both the congregation and also our team is, somewhat very in love with this building. So as you see this little icon here, we'll go through it. I'll delete this, but if you can see my little cursor, this was the original location of the St. Peter's congregation. And then they moved here. There were 2 locations here. And then in 72, they moved over here. This location is an affiliated congregation that is important because both the second structure here and the congregation here has stained glass that was kind of almost moved like spolia over to the West Ashley location. Okay, we can go forward. So this is the original location from the 19th century that the building burned down, though there is a marker and an existing cemetery or remaining cemetery. We can kind of keep going there. Just some more historic stuff. There's that plaque. And then
tell me if you'd like me to stop.
nope, you're going fine. So they moved north of Line Street once the church burned down. You can go to the next slide and the next. So this is on Rutledge Street. Keep going. And once more, so this was the first incarnation of the church on Rutledge Street. And it's kind of interesting to see here, we've got a wood structure, board and batten, with these Gothic elements that you can see as the building kind of continues to take many shapes. So keep going. It was rebuilt in 1930s. And as you see in this kind of news clipping, those Gothic arches, those arched windows, those are the windows that had the stained glass that is now in the building in West Ashley. We keep going. And that building still does exist. So here's a kind of quick timeline of renovations to the church, or at least when the drawings were made. So not actually when construction was started. And then so there have been 5 renovations to date. We can go to the next slide, which I hope makes it a little bit more clear. So we'll walk through the different phases and we can go to the next slide. So the original building was an early LS3P project, which at the time was still Lucas and Stubbs. And they had these, courtyard cloister elements on either wing of the initial church, though there were just walls. Yep. So 75, they had some drawings to expand, Fellowship Hall expand, and then 85, they added an administrative wing and additional classroom space. Keep going. 2004, they rebuilt the bell tower. 2010, they redid the narthex, or the lobby. So, and we can breeze through this too. These are just drawings from each phase, but yeah, we can keep going. Interesting as artifacts to look through. We can keep rolling. That's a really great image, but we can keep going here. This is 85, 2004. We've got the new bell tower. And then 2010. And you'll see as we keep going further on in the this presentation, 2010 is where they run into a lot of water damage issues, though the other kind of the original structure was having water damage issues, but in the 2010 edition, a lot of the flashing and crickets or flat roof slopes were omitted from the contractor's plans, and so that new portion has some significant water damage. But if we keep going forward, kind of the darker lines are what in that plan that we just saw were kind of what we're proposing to keep. Existing elevations, that on the top is the front, bottom, we'll keep going. Yeah, well, actually, if we look at this, the south facade, those have the stained glass. Those windows are actually stained glass. They just have a piece of faded plexiglass covering them. So part of our plan is to make that stained glass a little bit brighter. Yeah, this is the rear. West facade is the rear. Yep, and here are some courtyards. We can keep going. The other courtyard, the concrete courtyard has a lot of water issues because of drainage problem. Here's some interior shots. Yep, this is the main sanctuary space. We did some exploratory demolition with a forensic engineer to investigate the water damage. It's a stucco building on wood studs, which we would say would be not recommended in our climate. But it's what we're kind of dealing with. And in doing this kind of forensic work around the building, you can see there's both termite and water damage to the structural elements, but also the sheathing in certain areas has degraded to the point where you can see the lath of the stucco on the rear side. Obviously, all of the insulation that was there has, dissolved like cotton candy, and in certain areas the stucco is actually totally gone, and so there's new skylights. These are some engineering documents from the forensic engineer, Elkin Engineering. This was done before we started working on the project. This is via a lawsuit that they're doing with, that the previous owner is engaged with, and we can keep rolling through that. It's just about that flashing issue. Volkmer was the one that did asbestos testing. So asbestos kind of lit up in 2 of the wings. So if we look at this as building 2, as the asbestos tester did it, and this is building 3. Building 2 has asbestos in the flooring as tile, and then building 3 has asbestos in both the ceiling and the flooring.
Just that you have about a minute left.
Okay, yep, we can keep going. So we're almost done. Yep, so here you can see the heavy dash line is the elements that we're proposing to demolish completely with that are over 50 years old. They're about 52 years old. And then the other hatched elements were outside of that window, but we're also proposing to demolish. And then we're also proposing to declad the entire remaining building, redo the sheathing, and come back with a more resilient exterior cladding material so that they don't run into these moisture issues in the coming years.
Thanks, Charles. Are there board questions for Charles? Anyone?
I'm just curious. Sorry, Ben.
Go ahead.
The part of the recladding of the original building, did you say you're resheathing? Or is it a complete redo of the building envelope, new insulation and all that? Or is it just a recladding?
So the sheathing, because the building was built, first of all, we'll say this. There will be new insulation on the interior. And then because the building was built in so many phases, some of the sheathing material was plywood, some was OSB. Some of the stuff could be probably reused. We won't know fully until we take the stucco off. But we still will have to come back with a new moisture barrier on or membrane between the sheathing and the cladding material, probably throughout. And new flashing throughout.
But you're not insulating it?
No, it'll be insulated. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
Did you have it? You finished?
That's it. Sorry. Sorry.
Ben, did you have a question?
My question was really the only things that you have to come to us for would be the sanctuary and the 2 wings, the connecting wing, page 23.
The 2 little rectangles.
Yeah, the 2 little rectangles. So everything else is not even in our purview. So you could tear the whole thing down. Is that what I'm understanding, David? Except for the sanctuary and the.
I would need Charles to confirm the.
Yeah, I guess. We could go back to that little diagram. I think in discussions with David.
Did you say 23?
Yeah, I think it's page
Yeah.
23 that shows the oldest part.
Yeah,
right?
so the oldest part, we're proposing recladding the entire thing. So all the stucco would be removed on the historic part of the building. So that between that recladding and then the part of the original 1972 project, which are, yeah, you can see kind of, I'll just draw again. These elements that we're proposing full demolition of, that was kind of what precipitated all of that, or the demolition
Do you
approval.
want me to go to the overall floor plan?
Sure.
Yeah, and you make me feel old when you show a 1975 on there, being 50 years old, man.
Well, it's the law of the land.
It's coming for all of us, Ben.
I know, I'm historic at this point.
No changes can be made to you without DRB approval.
Tell that to my help. Thank you.
Any other questions for Charles? Okay, we did receive about 17 comments that were submitted, all of them in support of agenda items 2 and 3. Most didn't differentiate between the two. And then we have someone from the public registered to speak, but I don't know if it makes more sense for her to speak on this agenda item or the next. David, I don't know if you have any insight into that.
Let's see if she's available. We also do have her letter of support submitted as well, which may be a repeat of what that letter states.
Okay.
Brad, if you could let her in. Colleen?
Hello, I'm actually with the applicant. I'm part of the church team, Colleen Condon. You had me in as both applicant and in as public. And so I'm actually in as applicant.
Okay.
I'm in charge of, I'm the board chair for St. Peter's, what's called the Bishop's Warden. And we just want to thank Charles. He's just had a baby in the last week. So we are so lucky that he's come out and joined us despite very busy schedule. It is literally those 2 red hatch marks. If you can go to it, just those 2 red hatch marks are the only parts we want to demolish. You can put your hand through the wall in those 2 rooms. Nope, not that red hatch one. It was a little further in the stack. But as Ben asked, it's indeed just those 2 little tiny areas that we're demolishing that are over 50 years. This church is, if you don't know the Episcopal Church history, we had a big schism. There we go. With the red hatches are the only parts that are over 50 years that we want to demolish. The Episcopal Church in South Carolina had a schism about 12 years ago. We split. We then fought in lawsuits over property, and the Episcopal Diocese of South Carolina just got back this church during the last few years. So it's been sitting empty for almost 3 years. And we really want to get back in and start using this building, but we need to do the decladding around the sanctuary that Charles talked about, demolish the 2 areas in the hatchet, and demolish this other area off on the right that's newer. And we just want to make sure we're in full compliance with the city as we move ahead. We would appreciate your support. We got some letters from neighbors around us who we believe are all excited to see a church being reactivated instead of sitting empty. So thank you for your consideration and time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and all board members were provided with copies of all 17 letters in support of the project. So thank you for sharing those with us. City staff recommendations.
Thank you. The demolition set provided by the applicant has a great deal of information and demonstrates the long history of this church as an important fixture to Charleston. From what the applicant has provided, we can see that this building has had extensive water damage, partially due to poor construction and materials used. And this, along with termite damage, shows that the church is in need of extensive repairs and renovation, which first requires a removal of some of the outer walls and outer sheathing that staff can support. Some areas of the building that are being requested for demolition are not over 50 years of age, as you already know. And we do recommend approval of the partial demolition.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to respond or clarify anything from staff comments?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, the other thing in addition to that I maybe failed to mention in the partial demolition area is that was for the most part, especially the area that's over 50 years old, is a very low ceiling classroom zone that's quite small. So in addition to the asbestos and the water damage, in order for them to reuse that space going forward, it doesn't fit modern needs of a classroom.
Thanks. Thank you. So now we can move into board discussion and a motion.
I've actually been to this building, and I see the Reverend there. I met, and we did a couple of schemes sometime in early 2000s when I was at Cummings and McCready. But I, personally, in my opinion, the sanctuary is the architectural significance that should stay. Everything else is fair game for demo, in my opinion. But I would approve this demolition request.
Is that a motion?
Well,
That's a motion.
I think we'd be remiss to not at least mention how thorough and thoughtful.
It's very, very thoughtful.
It's incredibly well documented, unbelievably well communicated. So yeah, and then in terms of the actual application, I totally agree. I think it's going to make well, I guess we can't talk about what comes next.
Can't talk about it yet.
Save that for the next conversation.
It's one of those things where the recladding, it's like getting rid of these two little rectangles, getting rid of that one wing. Those are big changes, but the recladding will just be so important for the look and longevity of the building. So yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
I would say one thing to the applicant to look at your labels on your elevations. Just make sure you're labeling the elevations correctly with your north arrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Got to teach the young kids something here.
Nitpicky McGee over here.
But here we go. So let's motion for approval of partial demolition.
So we have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Adriana, the second. I'll call roll. Lucas?
In favor.
Actually, I'm supposed to ask, is there any further discussion? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. Anyone else have anything to chime in on? Okay. Lucas?
Yes, in favor.
Bill?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
And Ashley?
Yes.
And I am also in favor, so the motion carries. Thank you. Now our next item on the agenda is the same applicant for 1393 Miles Drive. This is requesting conceptual approval for the repair and renovation to an existing church building to deal with ongoing water infiltration issues. The project will be broken into two phases. Phase one, exterior stucco and sheathing will be removed and replaced with more resilient siding, and historic stained glass will be better protected. The demolished wing will be temporarily graveled with the intention to fence off that area before phase two begins. In phase two, the demolished one-story wing will be rebuilt as a two-story structure that is deferential to the main sanctuary and reinforces the modern Gothic language of the original church, which is a really long description for the agenda. So Charles, I took care of your presentation for you. Yeah, David, do you have any introductory slides, or should we just let Charles hop
No,
into it?
Charles, you can jump right in.
Okay, do you need more than 10 minutes this time? Good.
Charles, you're muted, Charles. Oh,
You need to be
Brad,
on.
if you can.
Yeah,
unmute.
I
Brad
got
has to
muted.
do
I don't,
it.
yeah.
All right. You good with 10 minutes?
10 minutes is fine. I'm gonna be quick. So
All right.
I try to be quick. So this overall, currently, as you went over the long description, we're not proposing in this first phase. We kind of showed the second phase as like an early conceptual idea of what we'd like to come back with. We're not proposing any changes to the landscaping at the moment. We're really focusing on recladding the building and getting this safe so that they can begin to have worship at the church. So we can go to the next slide. Here's the context photos. It's a single family residential neighborhood. They have a large property, and generally there's a church on the other side. Otherwise, you're just seeing large expanses of lawn and then some tree lines buffering both the park and the surrounding residential neighborhoods. So here we go again. The hatched area being the area to be demolished and in question. We can go to the next. And then again, the hatch, that would be phase 2, where we would come back with trying to maintain the original footprint. This is existing. Keep going. Existing elevations. I'll take Ben's point that we need to make sure that the arrows are going the right way. Go to next. And demo again, we'll skip that. And demolition a little bit more in depth. Demolition again. Keep going. And so this would be, if we go back to that plan, so this would be phase 1. And the main kind of features aside from recladding is we need to come back with almost like a second wall to protect these stained glass windows that line the nave of the church. Just like kind of we could see on the, just like we could see on the photos of the exterior, where there was that kind of milky plexiglass that was covering that stained glass on that side of the building. The same thing is happening here. So they're both not protected and they're letting water in. And so we're basically proposing coming in with a double wall. So there'll be protective glass that will A, allow more light in, and B, make the stained glass more prominent. And then slightly redoing the windows here. And we'll see kind of as we go through the other images, why we're doing that. And so there's the elevations. And we can go to the next. And this would be phase 2. We don't really have a full use laid out, though we want to keep the same footprint to be kind of, respectful to the history of the building, but then we're wanting to expand their potential. So we are, if you go to the next, we're adding a second story, which you can see very clearly to be determined. We don't quite, we're very conceptual early phases, but we just wanted to have something to show of we're not coming back in with a gas station or something next to the church. We're wanting to, create this continuum of history. We're wanting to create this dialogue. So we can keep going. And this would be phase 2 elevations. We'll keep going. Yeah, we'll try to keep it quick. So this is the full phase 2 aerial massing, no materials shown, but just generally the size. Here you can see that second story up there, trying to be differential to the main sanctuary space. We can go to the next. And that's just the rear. And then we can keep going. Thinking about materials, with that second story addition, thinking about a standing seam metal roof on the the visual, what you see visually, it's more of a flat roof mansard style roof on that second story addition, thinking about diamond shaped shingles for the existing, just typical asphalt shingles that add a little bit of a historic kind of character to them. Coming back in, as the building has this light kind of khaki pants color, we're coming in with a little bit more of a white idea for the paint color. And then on the right, the paint color is one thing, and then the right side is showing like a large format cement lap siding. So we have a detail of this, but we're talking at like 2 to 3 foot exposures. And that, so it wouldn't be gray like this, it would be painted white. But trying to create some of this dialogue with history of, it is a modern Gothic building, but so how do we bring in this idea of like a stone kind of scaled building in a contemporary way? And so that's kind of our approach to do that. So if we keep going forward. So here you can see as it is now. And one of the discussions we've been having with the committee and the church is that currently the building doesn't have that much of an engagement with the street. It's kind of a austere blank facade. And then if we're getting critical about architectural languages, because we have this Gothic language, the fact that the addition on the right side, which we found that these windows were added quite late. The fact that they're using half round arches is kind of antithetical to what a Gothic building would be, even though it is a modern Gothic building. So as we come back in that next phase, bringing in that original proportion of Gothic openings. Here you can see on the left side both a window and a little paseo, so that there's some type of visual indication that there's a courtyard there. And then on the right side, we're showing kind of a temporary fence with perhaps like a screen print of the windows to come. And then you can see that horizontal scale of the cladding, phase 2, the windows, and then another paseo that kind of has a visual connection to that redone courtyard. And then the second story there with that standing seam metal to be deferential. We can go to the next. And this is just a detail of kind of how that cladding would work around one of those smaller windows. And then the next. And that's just the existing church. I know we can't talk about the interiors, but because the stained glass is so important, just kind of the approach that we're taking, trying to be sensitive, but also breathe new life into this space. And thank you for the time. Hope I didn't go over.
You did not. 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. Thank you, Charles. Are there any questions from the board?
I have one. Charles, just to clarify, are you asking for conceptual approval for phase 1 only or both phases?
What do you want to give me? I think really the intention right now is phase 1, but I mean, if there's a general approval of phase 2, understanding that it is quite preliminary. I mean, obviously we need some work with civil engineers and landscape architects as we go forward, but this is at this current stage the general architectural direction of the massing.
So assuming that we give you conceptual approval tonight for both phase 1 and phase 2, moving forward, are you just going to be looking at phase 1? Or are you going to be coming with both phases?
The next time we meet?
Yeah, like preliminary.
Yeah. I'd have to talk to the clients about that, but I think that for the current strategy, phase one is kind of the priority.
Bill, that's the question I had too, is kind of just logistics, because hypothetically, of phase two, there is enough to review at a conceptual level, height, scale, and mass, right? And if it changes during their ongoing process, then they just come back for a different height, scale, and mass review at phase two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my question too. I guess we can chat more about it in board discussion.
I have,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Aaron.
no, you go ahead. I'll say for last.
I had a few questions, Charles. One question was, somebody, I think Aaron mentioned that you're protecting the existing stained glass. Can you mention how you're protecting the existing stained glass in the sanctuary?
Yeah, so if you, I mean, basically we're building a double wall. So we're going to build, you can kind of see it in the plans and the elevations and the phase one elevations. Yeah, so
you're not covering them with anything. You're just.
Hold on, Ben. Charles got muted mid-sentence.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I was trying to click my little handy dandy cursor and I clicked mute. Sorry about that. So basically we're proposing building these wing walls, and then there will be a pane of glass in front of the existing stained glass, which is back here.
Gotcha.
And so basically there's no flashing on those windows right now. And without totally removing them and then potentially them being broken in the process because they are, you know, getting towards 100 years old, just coming back with a secondary wall in our discussions seemed to be the most economical choice to preserve and save them.
So your drainage plane is at a new level.
So we're moving the drainage plane outboard of where it is currently.
I get, is it going to be a vented glass window?
We're still in the early stages of kind of figuring out the engineering on that.
Got you. You might Google Lexan covering stained glass windows, what happened in the 80s and 90s. Just look at it. One question, just curious if you studied, if you showed us the beautiful original building. I'm just curious if you looked at the board and batten look to echo the original building and the verticality that it might have given to the existing sanctuary for a reclad.
We obviously looked at it. I think the nice thing about that original building, which just for clarity, does not, the stained glass in this building is not from that original structure. I think the scale of it to go to board and batten felt a little bit more too residential because this building is so much larger than that original, almost like chapel style structure. But yeah, we did think about it. It just seemed like the scale was wrong.
Looked out of scale. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question was, I've never used these 2 to 3 foot wide cementitious boards. Is that something that has hidden clips, or is that exposed fasteners, or how do those attach?
Yeah, so they're going to have to be reinforced kind of with ribs underneath the lap siding in order to, provide the structural kind of rigidity that is needed for.
But is it a face screwed attachment, or is it something that's from behind?
You can do it either way. And we're going to have, like, as we go deeper into the project, we're going to have to figure out what is the proper way to, what looks best, basically, and how it works out economically, and obviously reviewing it with the board.
Got it. One other question, and this isn't really, this is not really in my purview, but I'm just suggesting you look at it. When you've torn the building down adjacent, that has it looks like 3 water closets and 3 labs, just make sure, for an A3 occupancy, code allows you to use those plumbing fixtures. So just make sure you have the plumbing count for
Yep.
an A3.
Mhm.
That's it.
I had a question about the, phase 1 part. It sounds like y'all aren't quite decided on what that fence material would be. Is that correct? Do you have any information or anything?
No, we haven't decided on it, but
Okay.
we're open to suggestions for the board. But I mean, the intention would be that it wouldn't just be kind of an ugly chain link fence. That's kind of why we were showing like perhaps a screen print of what's to come. But yeah, I think the team would be open to suggestions if there are any.
Any other board questions? Okay. We don't have any public comments in addition to the ones that were submitted that we discussed during the previous item, unless Colleen wanted to speak to this one as well. I don't know if she's still on.
I'm here and certainly hope you approve it. I'm glad to help answer any questions as well.
Thanks. Thank you. City staff recommendations.
Thank you. The height and scale mass of the new addition on the north end is subservient to the existing gable roofs of the building and fitting with the overall structure. The overall concept is to replace all the removed stucco with wide panel fiber cement boards, which staff finds a suitable replacement to the stucco. Staff comment number 1, staff supports the materials proposed, the wide board panels and the standing seam metal roof, and the other roof that was mentioned as well. Number 2, staff recommends studying the proposed roof of the new addition at the north end. I didn't realize that might not be voting on phase 2, but I'm going to go ahead and just talk about that for future anyway. The roof seems unresolved in some areas. The varying roof pitch and how roof mass ends abruptly on the 2 ends, and the different materials on the 2 ends. Staff recommends that the proposed roof have a consistent pitch all the way around. Number 3, staff will want to see the proposed fence that would go around the area of the building to the north to be demolished. This fence will need to be opaque and look presentable on the 2 sides of the area that will be visible from Miles Drive. I didn't realize during the review that what they were showing was the screen of the future windows, and I like that idea. Number 4, the landscape around the building looks to be original to the 70s. I was going to recommend a makeover, but I understand if they're not willing to do that at this time. I was just thinking it could be updated, but maybe that's for the future. Number 5, at preliminary review, staff requests that the package be presented as one package without phasing. But again, that's up to them how they want to approach that. But we do recommend conceptual approval.
Thank you, David. Any clarification or response from the applicant?
Not at this time.
Okay.
I have a question, David. If we're not voting on, if we did just say we wanted phase 1 vote, they don't even really have to come to DRB, do they? Since it's just a reclad?
Well, I would think since it started with the board that it should continue with the board.
No, I was just
kind of
curious.
agree with what Lucas was
That's a
saying.
good question, Ben.
I was agreeing with Lucas that, for just general height scale mass for the phase 2, that could still be approved. And if it changes, they just need to let us know at the next meeting.
Ben, I guess the only kicker to that would be this double wall construction is a little heavier handed than a reclad. So maybe that would trigger, but I don't know.
I mean, he's not really adding any square footage or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be fine giving a preliminary approval to the phase one with final details to staff.
It would still need to be conceptual approval with final to staff.
For if we just did the phase one.
Well,
They
are we in
need
board
building-
discussion?
They don't have building sections and so forth.
Yes,
So
we're
we're-
in
We are.
board discussion.
But you see what I'm saying, David? They're not changing anything. He's not adding any square footage to that phase one component.
Well, I'm just saying that the drawing package isn't at a preliminary level. So you still just need to give it conceptual, and if you want it to skip preliminary and go to final to staff, that's fine too.
I think you have to look at it as a larger project since there is a phase two.
I would think phase two would need to come back with more refined drawings, other than just height, scale, and mass. It definitely would have to come back.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, Ben, I think the easiest, I could be wrong, but I think again, logistically, the simplest thing to do would be to review the whole thing as conceptual now, come to an agreement on the conceptual design direction, and then the applicant can go back and work on preliminary stuff. And if their preliminary comes back to us just on phase one, then we review that. And if it comes back for the whole thing, then we review that.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
but
fair.
I think that the phasing here, because you're right. If it was explicitly just phase one right now, I think we could all agree that would be conceptual approval, final review by staff, skip preliminary. But because we're looking at more of a complex situation, I think it's just easiest to review it all as conceptual for now.
Oh,
So can we say conceptual approval of phase one with final to staff and conceptual approval of phase two, but they have to come back to us with preliminary?
That's a good idea.
Stephanie,
Yeah, you just said it, Bill.
That's a motion.
Hold on. Stephanie, I know you were trying to speak there and kind of got talked over.
no, Aaron, I'm sorry. I'm good.
Okay. You're good. Okay. I just saw you waving your hand and I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
so I wanted to give you the chance to
Yeah.
speak if you were trying to.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing, one discussion. I know we have a motion. I just wanted to mention one thing. For the phase two, I would just, you've got a great opportunity to explore a more contemporary interpretation of what a parish hall could be. And, I think it could be, I don't know where that mansard type roof came from, but I don't think that's the way you want to go with this building in West Ashley. But I think the height, scale, and mass, which you're bringing it to the board, is good. I don't think it's not going to detract from the sanctuary or the street or the existing surrounding building. So I would just, take it further.
Well, Ben, that actually I do think is, if we're reviewing, because I had two comments. One was about that. I think if we're reviewing this as a conceptual design for phase two included, that massing is included. So we're approving that mass as is. And I know that staff had a comment about the roof, and I wanted to strike that actually, because I am very supportive of it. I think this building, the real kind of magic of it is in plan, and they are restoring that with this new intervention. And the building, I know we kept talking about it as a modern Gothic building, but in reality, the way it's expressed today is more of a composite of architectural languages. And so I think when you preserve this plan, the specialness of the plan, I think going vertical, going 3D, that is the time to kind of do something expressive or slightly out of the ordinary. And so I think this kind of asymmetrical or whatever we want to call it, mansard roof is a really fun, unique solution. But on the other side, because we're coming in with this giant lap siding that almost echoes like rustication of old religious buildings, that also subverts the Gothic reading. So I wasn't as supportive as going back with pointed arches on the future expansion. I like the idea of leaning into this composite reading. But yeah, I do think we have to come to a consensus about what we've been shown in terms of massing. So it might be helpful to actually switch the slide back to that AXO.
Yeah, page 21. Or 22, I think, of the presentation, David.
Do we still have David?
I think.
Sam.
He is coming back from the bathroom.
Just doing that setback, Charles, of the mansard from the 1 story and only leaving 2 or 3 feet of low slope roof is a challenging detail.
Yeah, I can
Just
I can
speaking from
respond.
experience.
Yeah, I can respond to that a little bit. The part of the point in creating that separation is well, if we go to that street level facade, perhaps, I mean, you can see the separation on the front and back there, but it's to create a clear division, because there is this kind of language of verticality and then low structures. And then 2, just from a more practical point of view, over the course of the history of this building, every time a roof intersects with another sloping roof, they've had water issues. And so we're trying to create some type of level of protection there. And then I guess more conceptually, if we think of it this way, like having that faux kind of mansard roof reveal itself as not really being a true mansard roof, and it's actually hiding a second story, and you get a little bit of a glimpse of that on the side, is part of the, I guess, game of what we're doing. Like the same thing with these new passages into the courtyards. Like you get this glimpse that there's something more happening behind the front facade, and like this idea of like the hidden cloister and kind of what it reveals as you get deeper into the building.
I would also vote against exposed fastener attachment of your boards. I think, in our environment, even if it's stainless steel, it's gonna that sealant's gonna pop off and it's gonna show rust and it's gonna drip down the face. So if you can do a concealed fastening system,
for sure,
for
we can
that.
put that in motion, right? Because
yeah, absolutely, because that's the phase 1.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I guess we said, yeah, that'll just kick to staff for review then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah, I was just about to. Do you want to, Bill?
I think you made it, Bill.
Well, I need a little clarification. So make a motion to approve phase 1 conceptual with final to staff, approve phase 2 conceptual with staff comments 1, 3, and 4, and back to the board for preliminary review.
With the board comment.
Board comment for concealed fasteners.
Yeah, with board comment for concealed fasteners.
On the wide cementitious panel.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve phase 1 conceptually with final to staff, and a motion to approve phase 2 conceptually with board comments 1, 3, and 4. And that would come back to the board at preliminary. Oh, and board comment, I'm sorry, for concealed fasteners. And I missed, you said specifically there was something that got added and I didn't get it down in time. Ben, can you repeat that?
Oh, just concealed fasteners to the cementitious panels.
Okay, to cementitious panels. Okay, let me repeat that. So we've got a motion for conceptual approval of phase 1, final to staff. A motion for conceptual approval of phase 2, preliminary coming back to the board with board comments 1, 3, and 4. I mean, staff comments 1, 3, and 4, and board comments for concealed fasteners of the cementitious panels. Is that right? Got it. Okay, is there a second?
I second.
I got Stephanie with the second. Any further discussion? Okay. And did we need David to clarify anything? I know someone had a question for him when he was away. Are we good?
No, we're just asking to switch the
Okay.
slide.
Okay. All right, then I will call roll. Ben?
Yay, in favor.
Lucas?
Yes, in favor.
Adriana?
In favor.
And Ashley? And I'm also in favor, so motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me get my agenda. So next item on our agenda is 731 Savannah Highway requesting preliminary approval for the renovation of an existing building. David, I don't know if you have any slides on this.
Thank you. Yeah, we've seen this project before, so I didn't have any conceptual slides. And they have contact slides. I mean, they have enough in here to go over. So,
hey, David, quick question.
Yes.
Can we just go straight to preliminary approval on this one?
I think that's what they're asking for.
No, I mean, do we have to review this again?
Oh, it's up to you all.
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make a motion for preliminary approval.
I second.
You may want to check. I think Bill may have had some comments.
Yeah, I do as well.
Y'all do? Okay.
But
I'm sorry.
I don't know that we need to go through the whole presentation.
I felt like we had already answered most of these in the last presentation, but if board members have comments, let's go through it.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, you first, Bill. Yep.
Yeah, just I had questions about the parking. Just because the spaces don't look, they're not drawn in a way that I can tell how big they are. And also we traditionally have landscape islands at the ends of parking bays, and we don't have those here. And there's no ADA parking at all. So those were the things I was wondering about.
And I guess mine might require some feedback from the applicant, and I see the landscape architect is here as well. You know, previously we had a comment on this to restudy the landscape. And, you know, I looked today at them side by side and there were a couple changes made, but I don't think it really constitutes a restudy. And I think the biggest challenge I have with it is that there's, you know, I know I pointed them out in the last meeting. There's a lot of things that are mislabeled, there's quantities missing, there's conflicting labels on the landscape plan. So it's hard to know what's going on here, you know, and we had asked that they go back and give that attention to making it more accurate so we could really understand the site plan. And that didn't really happen to my knowledge, but curious if the applicant or the landscape architect wants to talk to like what, you know, how they restudied it and what changes were made. Maybe I missed something.
This is Phil Clark with Clark Design Group. A couple of things. First, for the parking, we're kind of leaving the parking as is right now, as existing. The actual ADA parking, it's not labeled on this sheet, but it is along the building, down the left-hand side of the building, the last one there next to the ramp. That one actually is an ADA one, and we'll get that clarified. And then Bill, also based on listening to the other presentations today, understanding what you're looking for those site spots, for final, we will have everything dimensioned exactly as needed. I'll let Jody jump in a little bit more on the landscape, but one thing that we decided to do is so Jody did do the new Bronco building that's next door, and they added even though staff and the board said a wall was not necessary, they added a really nice stone wall on the Bronco building next door. So we actually added that as well to match. That's behind the planting, up against those front parking spots. So we've actually added a low stone wall that matches the one next door and kind of ties in with the building more. That was pretty much the extent of the restudy, and the new was working on that hardscape portion. Jody is on this, and so Jody can add any more context to the actual plans, if that's okay.
One other question, David, I don't know if you wanted to ask, you had a question written out in the agenda about that stone wall. Or do you want me to
Yes. Well, I think Phil just answered my question that the new proposed wall will match the one next door. I was just going to make sure that they were going to be using the same type of stone that's going to look the same.
Okay, great. Yeah,
and I did have one staff comment as well regarding wheel stops at that stone wall.
Okay.
That's a great comment. We'll make sure to have that. Thank you. Yeah. Jody, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I added the wall and the
Did
facade.
you just state your name for the board, just or for the record?
I'm Jody Furman, landscape architect for Furman Land Design.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, the wall, obviously Phil said it was added. It's going to match the existing Bronco dealership next door, and there will be columns on the terminations of them to match those two. It doesn't show up on this one, but I've done a little bit of advanced drawings on this, so it will look exactly like the one next door. So everything will kind of tie together. And basically the everything right out in front of the parking now is all grass, and I've updated the landscape to match the existing dealership next door with the exact same plants with the correct count, which I might need to check again. I fixed all the the errors that might be on the labels and all that, but the next time
I'm wondering if we didn't get an updated plan then, because the one that I looked at today still had a bunch of labeling issues, but
you might, I'm not sure, but it's fixed, and I can make sure you get that to review next go around. It should be all there, and then once I get the quantities on there, everything will kick in and match each other, and then those little errors will come together. So I promise.
Yeah, this should be a new plan since they didn't have the wall on the last plan.
No, it was a new plan since the last time, but it's still a bunch of, like, in front of the building that it says lawn and hedge in the same place, and then the trees are not counted right and stuff. It's nothing major. It's not anything to hold up approval, but I just want to make sure we know what's actually being proposed, just because there's some contradictions and things.
Aaron, could we do the final review to staff, but could you review it then? I mean, are you wanting to review it then as well, or?
I'm fine. I mean, I trust staff to do it too. I just want to make sure that we know, staff maybe make sure what we're approving.
Yeah. Well, I would also request that spacing of shrubs be on a plant schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask to Aaron and Bill specifically, because it sounds like architecture, let's just get it to staff for final. It sounds like there's some questions about landscape architecture, but are they mostly documentation? So
it's hard to
or
tell.
Are you taking issue with is there issues with the actual design, do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell because a lot of the information's missing, so we don't,
And I'd be glad to share the plan if it goes to staff with the landscape architects, which I've done before.
So Ben, would you be willing to also amend your motion to include staff comments?
I didn't make a motion, Bill, so you go for it, buddy.
Oh, I thought you did.
Someone did.
I was just gonna say, could we? I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, could we make a preliminary approval?
We pulled our motion, Bill.
Yeah, I was just asking
Okay.
the question. But yes, preliminary preliminary approval, like make a motion for preliminary approval with staff comment 2 and board comment. Bill, you said you wanted to see dimensions on the placing of plants.
How about just board comment that the landscape plan comes to us for final?
Landscape plan come to DRB, or landscape plan go to staff and landscape architects for
I'm
final
fine with
approval.
landscape architects.
Okay.
Staff and landscape architects.
Yeah, I'll share the plan with the
Okay.
landscape.
Let's do that.
So we have
That
a
works
motion,
for me.
we have a motion for preliminary approval with staff comment 2 and final landscape plan to go to staff and landscape architects on the board for final review. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Bill got a second. So,
Over. Yeah, if you want to
Sorry, Stephanie.
that's all right.
all right, I'll call Lucas,
Yes, in favor.
Adriana,
Favor.
Bill.
Yes.
Oh, you got the
Bill
second.
made the
I'm sorry.
second. Yeah.
I'm still in favor.
I thought Stephanie got the second. Okay, y'all were in
Yeah.
unison. Stephanie, y'all are both in favor. Ashley.
Yes.
All right, I'm also in favor. Seems hard, y'all. Oh, all right. Next on the agenda, 1702 to 1704 Hollydale Court, requesting conceptual approval for 2 new gray shell buildings for future retail and restaurant.
Thank you, Aaron. A few context slides to show the red thumbtack is the location. This is going to be a new development right along Maybank Highway on the existing Hollydale Court. Closer view, so the new buildings will be right in here. Again, closer view, new buildings here. This is a view into the site. The 2 buildings will be right here. And then on the other side of the street, the small park is going to be part of the project as well. And Lassie, jump right in. Or Lee.
Hey, this is Tim Cook. I'm the
Yeah.
civil engineer, so
Yeah.
I'll lead off.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Tim Cook, civil engineer, and I'm going to give you a little bit of history of the overall project. So the original Hollydale Court project, it's about 10 acres, and there's a building built in 1998. And then following that, about 5 years later, the owner built the Hollydale Court portion of the road with a cul-de-sac, and then turn it over to the city for maintenance. It's kind of a substandard road, so the new owner fully intends to make it kind of match what Riva Ridge and Crown Maybank, what their road system is like, with some street parking, wider access avenues. We're going to line the driveways up. So hopefully it's a tremendous improvement to the whole area. The developer built the second building probably in 2014. So those 2 buildings are currently occupied for office type uses. Because we are extending the road rights of way, we received conceptual approval in January of this year. So then we went to TRC for the first plat and road and drainage submittal, and followed it up with numerous site reviews, of which the 2 buildings that are in front of you today, we're calling phase 2A. So the project's going to have major renovations as far as water and sewer, relocation of a 16-inch water line along Maybank Highway, and a deceleration lane that's included. So on the application, I don't believe that we included the pocket park on the application, but we wanted to present it so you could see it. So David, I don't think that's in front of the
Okay.
board
Well,
today. Is
we'll
that
just
correct?
withhold
It
our comment.
was shown in the site plan, but I don't know if it's something we're not voting on. David, do you?
We'd love for you to vote on it, or at least comment.
Yeah, I just assumed it was part of this phase, since it
Okay.
was shown.
Okay. So David Tomlin will be the landscape architect, and for the final submittal, he'll have his landscape plan included with this set of plans. We just wanted to kind of provide a location and massing of the landscape elements, just for conceptual, in case articulation of the building changed or any revisions were made. So his plans will be included with the final submittal. So if you want to, David, if you want to click through so here's the existing road. So we went through a petition to have the cul-de-sac deeded to the adjacent property owner, which is TBLB LLC, which is the developer. So that went to City Council, and that portion of the cul-de-sac is now deeded back to the current landowner. So we'll extend Riva Ridge, which is at the top of the page, and it'll go all the way through to the southern property line, which is the Monero property right now. So it'll terminate at the Monero property, and there'll be a temporary turnaround in the parking lot at that location. Next slide, David. So the rear portion of the property was initially zoned residential. So we went through a successful rezoning to rezone the back portion and the adjacent parcel, which is ends in 021, to be business park zoning. So you'll see that on the second sheet after this one, just for context. Next slide, David. So the project has had to be submitted in several, I guess, steps. So the road and drainage is one submittal, plat and roads and drainage are one submittal, and then the site plans are the other submittal. So the two buildings that are in front of you today are the building 1 and building 2, contiguous to Maybank Highway. And then the pocket park is just to the bottom portion of the property, which is to the west. There's the business park portion of the property. So we went to BZA to get approval to remove some grand trees, and that was in March of this year.
This part,
reconfigured.
sorry to interrupt, but this portion isn't going to be in DRB purview.
Right. And I just give them context.
Oh, thank you.
So this would be kind of an extension of Hollydale Court, but privately maintained. So, real beautiful live oaks in that area. So it's going to be a kind of a neat portion of the project. Next slide, David. So this portion just kind of shows you the landscape areas that are in front of you today. And then the next one will just give you a basic massing and location of the landscape plan. So at this point, I'll turn it over to the architect. But if we could have some extra time, because we have two buildings to have you review.
Hey, good evening. I'm Walsey Knight with LFK Architects, and David, this is the perfect slide for us to start on. So just to introduce a little bit about context, the middle image shows our site. We've got 278 feet of frontage along Maybank. Of course, we're sitting on Hollydale Court. Just to the right of us, which would be more east on Maybank, we've got Live Oak Square, obviously larger retail center. And then just to the east of us, top image on the page, we've got Monero's restaurant, which is tough to see behind all the oak trees. If we can go to the next slide, please. So next slide, this is the south side of Maybank, so directly across the street from us. If you look at the image in the middle, this shows our neighbor across the street, which is Blue Flame Propane. And then just next to them is M&M Oil and Propane. So we're covered on the propane. And then you can sort of see the remaining context in the area. Next slide, please. These are the existing buildings that are on site just behind our site that Tim spoke of. These buildings have been recently renovated, and as he mentioned, there's a mixture of office and some retail. So this is just to the north of our site, kind of across Hollydale. And if we can go ahead and skip to, let's go to the building plans. I think it's on page. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a good slide. I'm wrong. If we can step back to that streetscape real quick. I think it's 169. Yeah, slide 169 or PDF 169.
I'm sorry.
Yep, perfect. So just wanted to show in the overall context the proposed streetscape along Maybank. So in the upper central area, you can see our site at 1702 and 1704 Hollydale Court. So our scale is right around 30 feet, which is consistent with Monero's to the left. And then to the right, we've got Live Oak Square, and some of those buildings go up to 2 stories and 40 plus feet, but just gives you a sense of the proposed context and sort of streetscape along Maybank. And if we can go ahead and skip to PDF 171, there we go. Yeah, perfect. So just real quick, wanted to give you an overview of the building program. So we've got 2 buildings. Building 1 is to the right, building 2 is to the left. Hollydale Court is to the left there. Each of these buildings are designed to be able to be subdivided into 4 smaller neighborhood type businesses. So you can see that we've got a central courtyard area, and then some oversized sidewalks and a bit of articulation of the facade to kind of break up the massing, which you'll see a little further in the presentation. If we can go to page 175, that jumps to the bird's eye perspective.
We talked about page numbers before today, and I'm not able to see the page.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Yeah, if we can just advance a few slides to the bird's eyes. Perfect. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is just a bird's eye north. This is the proposed buildings, number 1 on your right, number 2 on your left, and then Hollydale Court. And just wanted to mention that this proposed site layout and building massing is consistent with the Johns Island Community Plan, where we have the bike path, we have the multi-purpose walking trail, and then we have the closer proximity of the building. So we're in the town and country node, and then there's a town section that's shown in there, and we're very consistent with how the buildings address the street. And just thought this image kind of portrays that intent, that design intent along Maybank. Next slide, please. So this gives you a view looking south. This is the parking lot sign. You can sort of see the various porches and kind of the central courtyard feature. Next slide, please. So the architectural language, this is a view from Maybank Highway. The architectural language is just meant to be a very simple language of repeating Sea Island forms. You're going to see the gable form that happens across the facades. So we have 2 buildings, but we've broken them into 7 individual massing, each having its own unique character, opportunities for tenant signage. But overall, just a very simple architecture. And David, the next few slides, if we want to just kind of go through a little bit faster, yeah, this will just show you maybe how it might be to experience the buildings along Maybank. Yeah, this is at the entry point of Hollydale Court. And as you work our way around the back of the building, so tenant A on that building 2 has a larger overhanging vaulted roof line. And then you can see the repeating gables and then sort of the central courtyard feature. And we can keep going. There you go, a little closer view. Start to see some of the materials. Wanted to make sure we had oversized sidewalks and a lot of outdoor porches and kind of promoting outdoor seating and gathering spaces. And we can keep going, and then we can finish on the exterior materials palette, which should just be a few slides ahead. Right there, there we go. So the building has simple lap siding and board and batten. We've got 3 different colors to break up the massing with peppercorn and artifact and bright white. We've got a warmer Watson cottonwood brick that you see pick up on both buildings. And then we've got some natural wood features. This unit that you see on the far right there that has the vault, that has a glue lamb truss element there. We've got varying standing seam metal roof panels with galvalume and a slate black finish. All the buildings do have consistent storefront windows. We are subdividing those with applied muttons. And then from a canopy standpoint, in the upper left image, you'll see we've got 2 different canopy styles. One it's sort of a natural wood timber look with purlins and standing seam, and the other one is a very simple aluminum boxed canopy. And then finally in the courtyard in the lower left image, you'll see we got the Savannah gray brick that that outlines the courtyard. Next slide, please. So this is building 1, and again, just a very similar material palette. We do have a larger timber trellis at tenant A, and then box canopies, and the material palette is very similar. So at this point, we'll be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, do you have for this phase, for these 2 buildings, do you have more parking than is required, or are you meeting your parking requirements? And I'm asking this for a design reason.
We're kind of setting it up like a shopping center type environment. So we're going to have cross access and cross parking agreements on this contiguous portion of the property, which would be the 2 buildings that we're talking about right now, and then one 280 square foot building. We've got 118 parking spaces for those 3 buildings.
So do you have more than is required?
Slightly more, yes.
Okay. Also in the architectural site plans, the like the aerial perspectives and stuff like that, and the civil plans, the ADA parking is shown differently. Which ones are we going to believe?
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
The location,
the location, the number,
right.
The drive aisle, I mean, the access aisles, everything is different.
So as we're putting this together, I tried to accommodate the ADA parking to have more space at the sidewalk area. But then I had a conversation with the architect, and they said that they would like kind of the extension of the green area. So I think that's the idea that we're going to go with. So the architectural plan is what we're planning to go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
guys,
again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but y'all are showing parking spaces 18 feet long,
18
not
and a half
18.6.
18 and a half is no problem.
Pardon?
It's no problem. We can
Okay.
accommodate.
That's why I asked if you had more parking than you needed. The parking layout looked a little tight to me, and I was just worried about how that would impact your overall site design.
I created a table, since there's individual uses, to try to anticipate how much restaurant space is going to be, how much office, how much retail. So I have 194 spaces on the phases 2 through 5, and we're required to have 180. So we have 14 extra, and we have 15 on street, which is included.
Can I ask you a question, Tim? On your parking calculation, maybe I'm looking at this wrong in terms of you're showing one where you have a required parking of 165, but you said you're providing 200. Is that different calculation?
194. So that's in a various stage of the middle of the TRC. So I had originally calculated the parking based on a shopping center, and our TRC submittal in July, Eric Schultz requested that I identify per building what the uses are going to be and not the shopping center requirement. So I created a table. I just did that today just to try to address that TRC comment. So right now I've got 194 and the requirement is 180.
I have a question. Tim, it appeared that you have to do some improvements on the Maybank Highway for SCDOT, right, the cell lane.
Correct. Correct.
And then you have the multipath. Is the multipath portion is an SCDOT and the other portion is in the property?
It is primarily right down the middle.
Yeah,
So it'll be a partially on private property and partially on DOT.
and they would allow you to do that?
We're working through that
Okay.
that aspect of it. Yes.
Okay.
We also have to relocate the 16-inch water line.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
Quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
Just so we understand too, the pocket park, I know that came up. Was that a requirement or request from the city to include that as part of this project?
No, it's kind of it's a teardrop shaped piece of property, and the utilization of that front portion was kind of tough. Initially, we had a structure there. It kind of started to steer away from that, and I think there's been some other similar type pocket parks, so that because we have signage that we have to contend with, so it seemed like the better idea to provide kind of a community use area for the entrance.
Any other questions from the board? No. Okay, great. We had no public comments for this. So David, if you have staff recommendations.
Thank you, Aaron. Some staff observations first. Staff met with the applicants of this project, which staff supports and feels will be a nice addition to Johns Island. We appreciate the comprehensive, well-presented drawings. The height, scale, mass of the project is fitting in with Johns Island vernacular. The proposed buildings have a nice variety in roof lines, which breaks up the massing. The mechanics on the roof look to be well screened. The wide overhangs and heavy support beams are especially attractive. Staff was a little concerned about how close the buildings are proposed to Maybank Highway, which doesn't allow for much landscape on the street side of the buildings between the building and the sidewalk. But the plans were developed already with TRC, and there's not much room to slide the buildings back away from Maybank a few feet, as staff would have preferred. But we are satisfied with the way the project is proposed, given the attractive architecture. And given that this is one of the planned town and country nodes planned by the city, the building placement is appropriate with those city plans. Staff comment number one, staff is okay with the outdoor space between the buildings being left open. I'm talking about the space here between the buildings. But we wonder if a brick screen wall on the Maybank Highway side of the patio might add some refuge to the space. Possibly a brick wall left open. I have an image at the end here. Let me show. 1 second. So this is where I was suggesting maybe a brick screen wall, brick matching the building, and then looking towards Maybank Highway, they would be approximately here. So a brick wall left open in the center, possibly the same width of the central planting bed. Staff comment number two, staff appreciates the little park and landscape improvements on the west side. That would be part of this project, so I thought. This will need to be studied further. Staff suggests less formal layout of the plants. We wonder if the sidewalk going through the middle of this park needs to lead into the parking lot, or perhaps it could turn east and tie it back into the sidewalk along Holydale Court. Staff suggests a bench somewhere along this park, along this walk in the park. Staff comment number three, staff finds the proposed monument sign attractive. We question if the building signage remain independent for various businesses, or if there should be a signage plan done to require businesses to follow a signage standard that is more in harmony with each other. Signage will be a separate roof. That was just a suggestion. Number four, the architect's concept for the monument sign should be shared with the future sign vendor if that's the way you want to go, but we do find that attractive. Staff comment 5, staff is supportive of the building materials proposed. And we do recommend that I have a different type of recommendation. The drawing set is not quite at a DRB preliminary level since there are no building sections, but we felt that the set was comprehensive enough to suggest conceptual approval with preliminary and final review of the staff. But I'll leave that up to the board.
Thank you, David. Does the applicant have anything they'd like to clarify or respond to from city staff comments?
No, David, thank you for that comment on the knee wall to help better define that courtyard and create a little bit of buffer between Maybank Highway. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Board discussion?
It's a great looking set of drawings too, David. I did have a couple of sort of observations about the buildings, but Lossie might be able to answer. It seems really tight where the buildings come together with the gables to the low slope roof. In some places, I think it's building 2. It looks like it's less than a foot. I guess, architecturally it looks good in the 3D model. I just question functionally, yeah, like right there, like the where the gable comes down to the low slope, and that low slope portion, the low slope portion is actually higher than the gable. I definitely think that should be studied and refined in final details. I think
there's a little hyphen there, right? That the slope drains onto or something.
Well, if you look at the plan, if you look at the roof plan, it's like a foot away from that parapet.
Okay, so it's kind of like a glorified gutter at that point, the little hyphen.
Right.
Well, I think, Ben, I think you're
maybe it's a cricket.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I could give a preliminary for that.
Well, I think you're getting at something that was kind of piquing my interest too. It just seems that there is like they're not big buildings, right? They're not giant buildings, but there is a lot of varying architectural expression going on here, which can be cool as a concept. We're making it look like 3 or 4 different buildings, each one that have kind of developed over time. They're their own little small buildings that are close together, but they've been built by different architects, different time, or whatever. But it seems to be caught between like that concept and this is a cohesive building with a broken down mass that's being connected via secondary architectural language. But I think there seems to be something that's slightly incohesive about it from my perspective, because it's not fully fleshing out that first concept I was alluding to. And now we just have it's leaning more towards just looking like 2 smallish buildings with a lot of different, I think there was 9 or 10 different facade materials for each one. And I think what you're talking about, that this kind of these pinch points and slightly peculiar roof line elements are a result of that, I guess, overall concept not being entirely fleshed out. Now, it seems that staff finds the buildings very attractive, and as do you, Ben. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the building, the architectural direction, in my opinion, is going good. I just don't know if it's ready for preliminary approval.
Okay, so you don't share my concern.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying about the different materials and the different buildings. I just think you need refinement. It needs to be refined where the buildings intersect.
But you don't think there's too much going on, material-wise?
I mean, I get the concept of the town. What's it called? The
Town and country.
Town and country. So I understand, and this area is kind of like that. Lucas is kind of a lot of different stuff going on.
Okay.
With buildings. So that part of it doesn't really bother me. I think the collisions bother me more than anything.
The intersections.
Yeah.
Ben, is it
So,
okay?
I think I agree with both Ben and Lucas. I like it, but I think it could be dialed back a little bit so that it's not quite as busy.
I think
could go. I'd go that way too. Yeah. Yeah.
But-
I mean, I see what you're saying. Like the tiki-taco is kind of a foreign architectural language by itself, right?
Right.
In that image you're looking at here.
Tiki-taco. I thought you were using that as an
Oh, that's an
architectural.
architectural verbiage there. Yeah. Archibabble.
Yeah.
I'm also have a little bit of a concern that on the landscape side that the landscape design has not really been fleshed out yet. The landscape architect hasn't even actually been engaged in the project yet. So with staff recommendation of preliminary and final review by staff, I think I'd want to see it again.
Yeah, that's fine. You're touching on some subjects we didn't catch, so I would be fine with coming back for
I think,
preliminary to the
Bill,
board.
I don't know if you agree with me on this. I'm curious, and I appreciate Steph's comment. I agree 100% with the first one about the wall, the brick wall, just to kind of help define that edge a little bit. And for the second one, I think staff is picking up on the idea that it needs to be studied further. That pocket park, I'm not opposed to it being there, but I think the layout of it doesn't make any sense at all right now from like a circulation perspective. You have that like circular knee wall, and then you have dead end pavers that we don't even know, are they in grass? Is there stuff playing in between them with benches so you're facing the street? Like it just feels like
it needs some study.
It feels like it was plopped down there more than just the sidewalk. I appreciate Steph's comment about the sidewalk, but I think it's beyond that. The whole organization of it doesn't really make sense to me. And so I think that as a whole, that's why I was curious if that was going to be included in this or not, because I think that area specifically, I think generally the concept of the landscape is fine around the buildings, but that pocket park specifically, it needs some overall refinement in my opinion. I don't know, Bill, if you have further thoughts on that.
I agree with you, Aaron. I think it needs to actually be fleshed out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like what's in there right now is like a placeholder. And it needs to be studied.
Mm-hmm.
And I am worried about once the parking gets reworked, I'm concerned with how tight the building is to the parking. That sidewalk looks like it's only, it's not dimensioned, but it looks like it's only a 5-foot sidewalk. And I'm worried about actually keeping a 48-inch clear path, and it's so close to the building.
Bill, David, can you flip to the site plan just so we can see it while he's saying this? I think it'd be helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you're talking about on the parking lot side of the building.
And actually this is better than the civil plans had less sidewalk than this.
The civil has 6 foot.
Okay.
So I pulled it further away from the building to provide a little bit more landscape here.
Yeah, so I like it better in the architectural site plan.
And the curb ramps are in different places between civil and architectural.
They are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we were told we were going with the architectural site plan.
That's correct.
Yeah, Bill, so we like the idea of that planter aligning with the courtyard and sort of all that working together. But we actually have some fairly gracious sidewalks. I mean, I think at minimum they're 10 feet on the back, and some of the depths to the building face are 13 feet. Some of them go up to, I don't know, like 24 feet for
Yeah,
buildings.
I'm totally fine with it if we're going with the architectural site plan.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to find, which one is that?
Sorry, the pocket park is on the agenda, right? Or no?
It's not in project area 2. We just wanted to give you guys a sense of what might happen on that parcel since it's a very small piece. You really can't fit much there, and just in general, as the whole overall master plan develops, it was the idea that that would be a park versus
Gotcha.
a building. Yeah, so
So
it's
it's not
really
technically
not
in
on the
this
agenda. Yeah.
I don't,
And
yeah.
to get the feedback that you're providing right now.
I would love to see a little architectural folly over there, but that's not, if we're not reviewing it, we're not reviewing it.
Stephanie, you had a question?
Yeah. Just a quick question. I'm trying to look at the site plan here. Are you guys talking about just west of building 2? Is that supposed to be the Pocket Park area? That's in front of the
Yeah.
existing Hollydale buildings?
The
Yes.
eyebrow?
And that's the area,
Yeah.
and that's the area that you're saying that we really don't have any, it's not part of the discussion tonight or
Yeah.
part of our
Yeah,
purview altogether?
I think, yeah, this is the area we were talking about with the pocket park, but I think it's to be decided.
Well, staff had comments on it in their
I
recommendation.
thought it was included in this project. since it
I'm
was
sorry,
shown.
David, I'm not understanding what you're saying. Are you saying it is or it's not?
Well, that's what we're trying to decide. It was
Oh.
shown, so I thought it was part of this project, but we're being told it's not part of this project and not developed yet.
Yeah.
Got it. Because it's part of the existing Hollydale footprint. It's not part of this new footprint. Is that correct, Mr. Knight? What you're saying?
That is correct. And we're showing,
Okay.
we are showing some images up in the front of the presentation of that existing corner condition. So this is just meant to conceptually
Give
show what
context.
future context could be. Yep.
Okay.
If we're not considering it, then I would recommend turning it off in future
Comments.
reviews because
Yeah.
it'll distract from. I don't feel comfortable approving it as it should right now, but I don't. If it's not really part of what we're considering, then I don't want it on the drawings that we're signing off on. You know.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Ready for a motion?
Guys, can I comment on Ben's? Can I respond to Ben's comment about the roof?
Sure.
Well, Ben, are you asking a question directly?
I was just ready. I was going to make a motion,
Or
Lawson. I think you can comment on that at preliminary. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I was going to make a motion for conceptual approval. For everything, for staff comments 1, 3, 4, and 5. Board comments, remove approval of Pocket Park, or how do you want to say that, Aaron?
Just remove.
Does not include Pocket Park from application. And board comments, simplification of architectural styles. Lucas, what do you think?
I say
Materials,
simplification of architectural expression and materials.
expression and materials. There you go. And I would say study the intersections of forms.
So we have a motion for conceptual approval with staff comments 1, 3, 4, and 5. And board comment to remove the Pocket Park from future drawings, to simplify the architectural expression and materials, and to study the intersections of the forms. Is there a second?
I second.
Stephanie, second. Okay.
So just to clarify, this will come back to us for preliminary.
It will.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
Could I ask a question for clarification? Should the Pocket Park come back on its own application?
Well, I thought the Pocket Park was a part of our review. Is it going to be eventually, David or Tim?
I'm confused. They keep saying
Yeah.
it's part of it and it's not part of it.
It's not really part of it. We just wanted to show it so we could get some feedback.
Well, I mean, who's going to be designing that?
I think Tim's saying in the future, when we do move it forward, would that go before the board's review?
Yes.
Okay.
By itself or as part of this future project?
Right.
What we
Just
need
by itself.
clarification on.
Well, by itself, it
as
would
its
just be
own
a,
thing.
it would
Okay.
just be a staff review if
Okay.
it's just by itself.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. And I will call roll. Lucas,
Yes, in favor.
Adriana,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
and I'm also in favor. So motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just for clarification, David, so that park would just come to y'all as staff to review since it's just a landscape feature?
Yes, I didn't understand they were wanting it to come forward by itself. So yes,
Okay.
that would just be a staff review.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. Item 6 on our agenda is the northwest corner of Clements Ferry and Cane Hoy Road, requesting conceptual approval for the construction of 4 new one-story medical buildings. David?
Yes, I've got some context slides. This is on Clements Ferry Road, almost all the way out to Cane Hoy Road, where the red thumbtack is here. Closer view. The Hollydale, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong street. What's the name of that street?
Clements Ferry
Yes.
and Cane Hoy?
Yeah, that's going to be a new street. So that's why I'm including this image, because the Google Maps does not have, it's not updated, but this is a pond, which is in our project. This is off our GIS map. And then this is across the street in that new development, which is right here, looking across the street. So this is where the entrance into this project will be. That's all I have. I'll turn it over to Cairo.
Thank you, David. I'm Carol Wheeler.
Do you need more than 10 minutes, Carol, or are you good with 10?
I'll try to stick to the 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
She can do it.
I'm Carol Wheeler with the Middleton Group. Online here are also Kevin Vollnogel with Remark, our landscape architect, and our civil engineer, Jessica Myers with C. Baker Engineering. We are requesting conceptual approval for 4 single-story buildings located here in Point Hope, the part of Daniel Island. Next slide, please. The property is located close to Clements Ferry Road and Cane Hoy Road. It's part of the Cane Hoy Land and Timber PUD, and we are also under the review of the Point Hope DURB. The context of the site is basically we have to the northeast of our property we have a wetland buffer. To the west of our property we have a power line easement, and to the south we have a pond that's actually not part of our property, but it's located between our site and Clements Ferry Road. From an architectural point of view, the context is very limited. We have the residences at Oak Bluff that David showed earlier to the south of Clements Ferry Road, and there's a multifamily development to the west of our road that's further of our property that's further away. We do have a secondary site entrance from the west, but our main entrance is really from Clements Ferry Road. And we are placing the 4 buildings that way that the 3 smaller buildings will be facing Clements Ferry Road. And we place the larger buildings to the rear of the site, the larger building of about 8,000 square foot to the rear of the site. And we allow some glimpses from Ferry Road, Clements Ferry Road through the 3 front buildings towards that back building. Next slide, please. Here are a couple of design precedents or inspiration images that we gathered that informed our design. At the top left, we have an image that's also comes straight out of the Point Hope design guidelines. We like the sloped roof and the deep overhangs, and are also pretty intrigued by the glazing, the floor-to-ceiling glazing that extends all the way up to the pitched roof. So we like to use some of that language to give those buildings a little bit of presence since they're further away from Clements Ferry Road. Other elements we liked to include are the porch is a typical low country porch that creates a connection to the natural environment, and generally a combination of sloped roofs with lower parapets. So at the bottom right is a nice example where we have at the center a gable combined with a porch element to the left, and then another massing to the right that has actually slightly higher parapets that help us screen rooftop units. You'll see that in our design later. And then the top right images are a nice example of how small screen walls can be used where the grading is a little challenging, or they can be used as seat walls as well. So we'd like to include that in our design. Next slide, please. This is the roof plan of the 4 buildings. You see how we are trying to combine the pitched roofs with those other 2 roof forms, where you see our rooftop units kind of sketched in. Those are the masses with the higher parapet, so we don't need additional rooftop screening. Next slide, please. These are the streetscape elevation. At the top of the page, you see the Clements Ferry Road streetscape. As I mentioned, we have 3 buildings facing Clements Ferry Road. The challenge with this design is that we don't have a rear elevation, so we had to strategically find some areas where we will place electrical meters and utilities, but we found those. The next 2 streetscape are basically the, if you go back, the streetscape from the parking lot. And then at the bottom is the other side of Clements Ferry Road. Next slide. I'd like to relatively quickly go through these and go through the 3D images. This is the first building facing Clements Ferry Road. If you go to the next slide, the second building is somewhat of, it's not a twin, but more of a sibling to the first building, where the building face each other. This is a good area for utilities that we will place there. Where we have the higher parapet walls here in the darker brick. This is where we also include some accent materials to make the proportions of the openings work better. Next slide. Building 3 is again a combination of our pitched roofs, the lower porch elements, and the higher parapet brick walls. And next slide is Building 4. If you could actually keep going to the 3D images, they're explaining the design much better. One more slide. So this is Building 1. As I had mentioned, we like the idea of extending the glazing at the main entrance all the way up to the sloped roof. This is what we did here because the tenant also wanted to celebrate their entrance lobby and their waiting room. Then at our extended pitched roofs, at the soffits, we're using an accent material that we're also repeating at the underside of the porches. And of course, these are some office buildings and medical offices, so it doesn't make sense to have a wraparound porch, for example, here. So we're treating some of the massing of the porch almost like an infill porch. Material-wise, we are proposing a darker brick for the higher parapet walls, and then a combination of vertical and horizontal siding. We would still like to flush those decisions out at preliminary review, but conceptually we're just showing the brick and the siding right now. If you keep going, these are just a couple of working views, or you could consider those sketches that we wanted to show just to explain the massing. The top left is the view as you enter the site. So you have Building 1 on your left, and you can already see kind of the infill porch element of Building 4 in the background. To the top, at the top right, this is as you approach Building 4 a little closer. So we have that porch element that we liked, and then in the center, the gable for the main entrance. The bottom are 2 images that just show a bird's eye view of those 4 buildings that all use kind of the same elements, but vary them in different ways to fit the tenant's needs. I just want to say that that pond has way too much water in this working view, and we'll adjust that In fact, we are in contact with the landscape architect for that particular pond, which is Design Works, and we're in contact to coordinate our landscaping with them. Next slide, please. Here are just some more close-ups. This is a close-up of Building 4. Here we decided not to bring the glazing all the way to the pitched roof because the tenant didn't want to celebrate or express their lobby that much. So we chose an accent material, for example, a wood accent, instead to celebrate that gable. And to the right, this is a view from the parking lot of Building 3 and 4. And at the bottom, this is the view, but the bottom left is the view as you come from the multifamily project through our secondary entrance. We like to place gables strategically as at the end of a road to draw people into this development. Next slide. This is the civil site plan. And if you move to the next slide, this shows our landscape plan. We have worked with a Point Hope DURB to include or to find ways to incorporate the existing walking path into our development. So we created several connections to this walking path that you see to the north of our property. And that way we can bring pedestrians into our site and also guide them safely to the existing sidewalk on Clements Ferry Road. We also included 4 paths or connections along our internal drive and the parking lot. It helps connecting the building entrances with each other, and also it breaks up the parking area. We have a little park between buildings 2 and 3, where the break areas of each building are basically facing towards. And then we're treating that small area between building 1 and 2 as kind of a focal point where you can view building 4 from Clements Ferry Road. And again, here's a hardscape connection. We did receive conceptual approval from the Point Hope DURB, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And we hope that you feel that this project is also ready for the next preliminary step.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
I'll make one comment. Congratulations on doing your parking spaces 18.5 feet, since that's obviously my pet peeve tonight.
That's awesome.
I had one question while we're on the site plan, and I know we're not at this level of detail yet, but just curious for the buffer trail, is that going to be like a permeable material as opposed to a paved walkway?
I'll let Kevin respond to the question. Could you please unmute Kevin Volnogel?
Oh, I see him muted, yeah.
There we go. I was trying. Yeah, so the trail, I do anticipate that being pervious. Okay. The trail extends. There's a nice like wetland edge there that we can take advantage of. Actually, a little bit of terrain, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But we want to tie it back to the apartment complex to the west. I think there will be a larger trail system throughout, so we do have some grade change to deal with, but we'll pay attention to that in design development.
I think it's, as you move forward, I like that idea of the terrain change and also the material, because you want it to be a little more kind of wild and natural than what's right up against the parking lot. So I think
definitely.
That's a choice. Great.
Oh, did you have a question, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm finished.
I had one question. Caro, the enclosed porch areas, and it's on multiple buildings where there's steel columns. I was just curious. So that's literally what it's going to do. The intent is the steel column is basically like a pilaster on the building, and the lap siding runs into that steel column. There's no offset from the building. It's engaged in the wall.
Yes, we're still studying that area. We're also still studying the color contrast, if we want to maybe mute that a little bit. Currently, yes, it is more treated like a pilaster on buildings 1 and 4. On building 3, we might need a little bit of a deeper overhang, and we are potentially disengaging the columns there. But
That was
yeah.
another question. Do you need the columns for structure, or is it more of an aesthetic thing?
It was more of an aesthetic thing to give those that portion of the building more of a vertical proportion and give it more of a rhythm. But I think this could also be achieved with a joint pattern or something like that, or with trim.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, we had no public comments for this agenda item, so we'll move to David with staff recommendations.
Thank you. Some staff observations. Staff met with the applicant on this project and we were complimentary of the project. The height scale mass of the buildings is good. Staff made suggestions to improve the appearance of building 4 at the corner that one first sees when entering the site. We feel this corner has improved and we like the current concept. We support the schematic landscape plan and precedent imagery presented. The pedestrian connectivity and the added trail system is successful. The staff comment number 1, the existing pond along Clements Ferry is off-site, but staff recommends adding complementary plants along the property line and entry drive that parallels this pond edge. Both sides of the entry drive could use added landscaping, such as ornamental grasses. Staff comment number 2, staff would like to see some blow-up areas of the landscape plan of this large site. For example, we'd like a blow-up of the outdoor patios between buildings 2 and 3. Some ornamental grasses are suggested on the side of this patio towards the pond. Comment number 3, staff recommends that the triangular planting beds to the west of building 4 be depressed rain gardens. I'm talking about in the parking lot. And number 4, staff suggests adding some pervious pavers at some strategic locations on the site. But we do recommend conceptual approval with the conditions noted and preliminary review by the board.
Thank you, David. Does the applicant want to respond to anything in David's comments?
From an architectural point of view, I just want to thank you for the comments. Kevin, do you want to respond to any landscape comments?
I think we can accommodate most of those, and I agree with most of those comments, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, board discussion and a motion.
I think it's a great package. Definitely, I agree with staff's comments about the vernacular fitting in. The one comment I had, that the only thing that stood out for me was the steel columns and the steel beam up against the wall. So I would just recommend to study that. If you want to panelize it with trim, or if they're not necessary for structure, I'd take them off. But if you need to break up the plane of the wall, I think study that if you need to have an undulation or something. But yeah, other than that, that's the only thing that caught my eye. I feel like it's a well thought out form for all the buildings. I like how they relate to each other, how they speak to each other. It's kind of that you can tell this is one architect that's made a move for all these buildings in more of a campus. So I applaud that.
And I have to
disagree.
No,
that's what architects are for, man. Come on.
No. I was asking you a question. I had to just go to the bathroom when you were asking your question to the applicant. The
got you.
Steel columns and beam stuff. I know.
They're just applied. They're just aesthetic.
No, I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it looks like an infilled porch, right?
Right. I guess to me, it just it reads different on the elevations. Honestly, it reads like the columns are pushed out, or at least that's how I first looked at it. But
I'm agreeing with you. There is a slightly awkward reading to it in 3D as of now, but I think that as a concept, especially given the prominence of these low slope or flat roof porches throughout the site, and then they get infilled when the floor plan dictates, that's a very strong concept, especially in this area. But I agree with you. I think when we say that articulation needs to be studied, it's not that the infilled porch motif needs to go out the window, but
correct. Yep.
If the motif is an infilled porch, there's probably better ways of articulating it. Like maybe it's not white siding in between or something like that. But I don't mind the column expression without it being a structural column per se, like a built out pilaster, just at an architectural level. But I just wanted to clarify what you were going for with the restudy, but I think that's a strong concept. But if that's the concept, study the articulation.
And I think Caro was mentioning that too, that, you know, there are other ways that they could look at that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm ready for a motion unless landscape architects have something to say. We good? All right, let's make a motion for conceptual approval with staff comments 1 through 4. Board comment, I would just say study the porch column, porch siding, interaction of the beam.
It might be worth clarifying that it's the infill.
The infill. Yep. That's all it is. They've got that located in several of the buildings. Yeah, the actual porches with the columns and, proud of the building are perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So we have a motion for conceptual approval with staff comments 1 through 4, and board comment to study the infill porch column and siding, the interactions of the beam. Is there a second?
I second.
Well, Adriana first, so I'll give it to you.
It's my turn.
Okay. Lucas.
Yes, in favor.
Bill.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Ashley.
Yes.
I am also in favor. Thank you for your application. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking at the wrong sheet. Item 7 on the agenda tonight is 2274 Clements Ferry Road, requesting conceptual approval for a new 3-story storage building. David, do you have context for us?
I don't this time, since we've seen this before.
Okay.
The applicant, Ronald, can jump right in.
And will you need more than 10 minutes, applicant?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And good evening. My name is Ronald Washington. I am an intern architect at Carlos J. Moore Architect, representing Unit Storage Project at Clarence Ferry Road. David, could you please forward along into the renderings?
Sure. Want to start here? Or good for
Yeah, after those elevations.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. As you guys know, this project has undergone many iterations throughout the past 7 months of deliberation. Our client has been extremely cooperative with replying to the board's requests, and the previous revisions were to take a look at the architectural devices, to break up the facade, and to look into the architectural direction. The design intent for this project has always been to have a brick water table that encompasses the building at the ground level. brick towers and cornices to articulate the main entrances, and to have brick accented corners to add variations in facade relief. The water table is interrupted by a different color brick that helps illustrate the main entrances and the accents. Per the request of board member David Meeks, insulated metal panels replace the ephes on the original design. These panels are arranged in a rhythm of 4 2-foot panels interrupted by 3-foot panels that mark the horizontal datums of the building floor levels. This panel will then mimic the darker color of brick, dividing it from the tan color. This particular brand of exterior cladding has various profiles and sizes. If you could go forward 2 slides. There we go. As you can kind of see there above that awning, I'm trying to utilize 2 different panels to have a variation in texture. The profiles of these panels haven't been solidified yet due to the review being more conceptual in nature. And with additional reviews that come, we elected to keep those details and trim and divisions to be resolved at a later time. But in response to the previous recommendations, if you could go back 1 slide for me, we've added Bahama shutters and brick pilasters to add that variation to break up that front facade. The panels themselves are 8-foot long insulated panels, but in order to minimize compromising the panels in the field, I elected to keep solid panels spans between the pilasters. The other tower and cornices on the eastern side have been removed as well. Additionally, there's been an awning placed above the front entrance, and that was to address the staff comments that were made in May after the prior design's approval. And then I believe that's all I had. I'm open for questions, unless Polly may have something to add.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
So those are all faux shutters, right? There's no window, there's no glazing behind them, correct?
Yes, sir.
I might have missed it, but the between the pilasters is that dark brown vertical element. That's just a metal panel breaking up but it's above the water table, right?
Yes, above the water table, those are panels.
That's not a door.
Yeah, that's not a door.
Any other questions for the applicant? We had no public comments on this item, so turn it over to David for staff observations and recommendation.
The staff met with the applicant. I'm sorry. The previous motion from 8/4/25 was architectural direction is denied and needs to be restudied. Consider other ways to break up the monotony of the building facades and don't rely on fenestration alone. Number 3, we studied the parapet configuration. Number 4, consider modest design relief in the building articulation as a way to break up the facade. And number 5, we study the colors and materials. Number 6, we study the landscape plan. The architectural direction doesn't seem like it was changed very much. The applicant made some changes to the facade in an attempt to break up the mass. The awkward parapets were removed. No changes to the facade articulation were made. The colors were darkened since the last meeting, and then the landscape plan was not changed. The interior storage units were pushed back against the front facade of the building, reversing the request by staff to allow for added fenestration on the Clements Ferry side of the building. And all the fenestration that was on the southeast corner of the building at the last meeting has been removed. They do reference a storage building down the street near I-526 that the applicants were comparing their building to. And that building has a width of 148 feet whereas this proposed building has a width of 232 feet wide. Staff comment number one, staff feels the applicants made some attempts to address the board comments from the previous motion by breaking up the building mass with shutters and brick pilasters, but we feel this still does not satisfy the previous board's comments or staff's request to see more fenestration on the front facade. The added shutters to the facade and the building are not called out anywhere on the plans. We do consider these false shutters, shutters that are not covering fenestration, and they only mildly break up the overwhelming mass of the building. But false shutters are not something that DRB is supportive of. Number four, staff is not supportive of the current design presented and feels the project has progressed backwards from the concept that DRB staff reluctantly approved back in April. And number five, there's a good amount of existing landscape on the east and west property lines that staff had asked the applicant to try and preserve for screening. But as the building takes up almost the entire lot from east to west, this was not able to be achieved. But we do recommend a deferral for a conceptual approval.
Thank you, David. Does the applicant have anything they'd like to clarify or respond to on staff's comments?
Thank you, Ronald, and really appreciate this board's time this afternoon. Thank you. And Mr. Meeks, as always, thank you for your time, sir.
Can you just state your name and
pardon me.
the project for the record? Thank you.
Please, Ms. Stevens. Holly McElhaney, the owner of the property and this project. We've been doing this since the mid-90s. So as always, appreciate your time. We went back to the drawing board after the meeting in August and implemented what we understood this board and Mr. Meeks was requesting. Respect the fact that false shutters are not looked upon kindly. I'm not certain we were privy to that at the time. This board was shown quite a few visuals by Mr. Neil Robinson, Nexon Pruitt last meeting in August, and showed that this building, it's very difficult to even see from Clements Ferry thanks to the fantastic buffer in place. This building went from 4 stories to 3 to accommodate what we understood the board was seeking. So any clear guidelines we welcome, but we know that this is a need for the area, and number 6 on this agenda provides continued basis for this need in this area. This has more design features than any of our other projects over the past 20 years, and that's all good. We're here to do what this board desires, so we can move forward.
Thank you. Now moving to board discussion and a motion.
Madam Chair, we usually kind of do the discussion to form the motion, but I think this one's going to be pretty straightforward. So I'll go ahead and form it to open the discussion, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
I will move for the deferral.
I second.
Should we discuss and provide some
feedback?
What's that?
Yeah, you're asking if we should do the deferral based on staff comments, but you're saying that the board may have some additional comments. So before if we're going to move to defer, we should add their comments.
I think they would appreciate some bulk.
Yeah, providing some feedback and maybe some direction. Yeah, this is a tough one again. I think some, like staff said, I think definitely some steps were made. Things going away from exclusively fenestration to break the building up is smart, and we can start to see that with the pilasters. Yeah, I agree with the Bermuda shutter, or the Bahama shutter is not really having a placement really in the midst of a blank wall. I do find it not very helpful that the expression on what we see screen right, that corner, has gone away. I thought by having that, by having two expressions on either end, a rather austere or blank expression between the two is more palatable. But now we're seeing more kind of architectural expression to the left, and it's pushed back too. It's further away from us. So it kind of, although that's where all the money and effort is going into, it's kind of fading. You're kind of not getting it. It's not really pulling its weight as it should be in terms of architectural expression. So I would encourage moving forward to reconsider some sort of drama on that right side. I would also consider, we looked at a lot of iterations that last meeting, and there seems to be a real desire for different shades of beige, just different versions of beige. Maybe there's color can go a long way, not necessarily expressive color, but non-beige colors can go a long way when trying to add some architectural expression to an austere facade. I don't, and the last thing I'll say is I don't think that central panel on that above the water table is really helping anything. But all in all, I know staff was thinking that this is a regression, and in some ways I agree, but in some ways I do think there were some steps forward made, particularly with the pilasters, and that entry feature is more properly scaled now, I think. I think the cornice is still a little awkward looking. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Curious to hear the rest of the board's thoughts.
I was just I just had one question for Ronald. Ronald, did you watch the DRB last meeting when we went over this when it was deferred? Yes. You did?
Yes.
I guess, I feel like it's kind of like Lucas is saying, it's definitely not what we saw before, but I don't feel it's moving forward a lot. Like the shutters, then we've gotten rid of one element. We've pushed the rooms, the storage rooms back to the face, so there's no opportunity for any glazing there. And I'm not opposed to that, but I think if you're going to do that, you need to have a really good facade, an answer, and this kind of repetition of the two shutters with the faux door below, it's just not there yet. I don't know. I think the brick pilasters could help you, but I don't know if that's necessarily what you have to do. I know brick costs money. So maybe you did it with a metal panel that had some reveal or some more offsets that was more intriguing, more thoughtful. I do like the glass still at the stair. I don't think the shutters are doing anything down there. So yeah, I'm with staff and everyone else.
I think we talked about this pretty extensively the last time and provided a lot of detail and commentary about some ideas and going further than what I think we would normally do on a project, just understanding the amount of time that this has been in review with staff before coming back to the board. And I think we got pretty creative in how we could continue moving the project forward. And for me personally, not being the design professional, I'm the commercial real estate representative on the board. And so I tend to be the contrarian voice of support in these situations. But when I saw the design with an untrained eye, I was like, what are these shutters doing up here? And this isn't really what we were looking for. And so I appreciate frustration with the length of time and the reviews going back and forth. I also feel like if there was an investment made in a different approach, that you probably wouldn't have had to spend all of that time either. The shutters and like false applications to buildings is something that's in our design standards, and those are on the city's website and available. So a lot of the things that are being provided to you, you know, they are out there and available, and unfortunate that we're having to punt this down the road, but it's just not where it needs to be. And for someone without the expertise on the architectural side to, you know, pretty quickly be able to identify that this isn't what was discussed in the last meeting, you know, that's difficult, and hopefully we'll get it the next time.
So Ashley, is your motion still open?
Yeah, and it was seconded.
Oh,
Yeah, I second the motion.
Great.
Do we need to amend the motion?
I was going to say, any further discussion or amendments?
Call roll.
Okay. Ben?
Yes, in favor.
Lucas?
yes, in favor.
Adriana?
In favor.
Bill?
Yes.
And I'm also in favor. So the motion for deferral carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And last item on our agenda tonight is approval of minutes from the 8/4/25 meeting. Motion for approval. Ashley, did you say?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Call roll. Lucas?
Yes, in favor.
Adriana?
In favor.
Bill?
Yes.
And Stephanie? You seconded.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just second. I always have a weird feeling when approve minutes when I wasn't present at the meeting. But I'll follow you guys, leave it there correct. So I'm in favor.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
Oh, I said I always feel weird approving minutes when I was not present at the meeting, but I'll follow you guys' direction that the minutes are correct. So I will support them.
Okay, thank you. I'm also in favor, so minutes approved. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, everyone.
That was a long,
I know.
Zoom meeting.
Good job, everybody.
Really,
Great job.
Right.
really appreciate
I
everyone's
don't like
time.
these Zoom
Thank you so
meetings though,
much.
David. We can't do this much, man.
I don't like them at
This is
all.
killing me.
Yeah,
I gotta see you guys, man.
I agree.
I have to live through these stupid Zoom calls all day long. I don't want to have to do it at night too.
And it's hard, especially when there were so many people. People would say like second or have a question. I couldn't see who had said it, so trying to track all that, it's hard in Zoom.
And then the worst thing is like my picture is the first one, and I can't do anything because I see everybody's looking at me. Everybody else disappear, and just you can see just the first, road, and I'm like, oh, I need to use the bathroom, but I'm like, again.
We're all watching.
Yeah, we're still recording, and I'm trying to figure out.
Recording.
Yes.
I know. That's why I wasn't saying nothing. Like, this is still live stream.
Yeah, so how about I end it?
Yeah.
Hit stop.
Thanks, y'all.
Oh,
Have a good one.
bye.
Well, you know what? I'm ready to go.